A real clockwork soldier.
have great things to say about
Generation Orange in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's a hard stop, bro. Come on now. What's up, everybody? Edson's working on those whole transition things still. A year into it. Yeah, that's good.
Now that I have
now that you have an off season, right?
Yes.
Welcome to Houston Dynamo. Wow, that was terrible. Welcome to Generation Orange, a Houston internet soccer show and radio and podcast. Oh my God, this is going to be one of those weeks. I can tell already. So this week we have just a quick recap. We have Dwayne coming on. Dwayne writes for somebody, covers for somebody. He knows what he's talking about. Let's leave it at that. So we'll have him on, and then we're also going to put possibly, hopefully, Jay on later. Dwayne will be coming on about 7:30 today, this evening onto the show. So real quick before we dive into this week and all of the many this show, no joke, we're probably, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if you guys stay engaged, we're probably going 3 hours because with all the news that broke this week, all the things that we discussed last week, everything that took place this week, even beyond just news breaking and everything, just everything. It's going to be a long show. I get that feeling today. So yeah, if you guys engage, expect 3 hours. If you don't engage, expect it to be 2 hours, and we will be happy to cut out at 9 o'clock. Believe me. I took an energy drink drank an energy drink with my dinner because I was dying badly. So hopefully that helps perk me up a little bit. I think it has so far. I feel a lot better. As you can see behind me on the TV back there, I'm covering up Clyde Drexler. It's just terrible of me. That is the Rockets game we will have on, so you guys can watch that. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. So we are gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the DeMarcus Beasley video interview after the post-match video of him talking about the team and some other things after the LA Galaxy match. We're gonna talk. We're going to talk Chris Kennedy. We're going to talk what that means. Obviously, a lot of things, but what it really means. We're going to talk some things I've learned this week. Just a few things. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what we talked about last week with the sponsor news that we dropped live on the show. That nobody else is still really talking about very much, but you heard it here first type thing. And we're going to talk about many, many, many other things. But let's start with the happy things this week. So the Dynamo had their last match of the season. First half was miserable. Went down 2 goals to LA Galaxy. Galaxy needed a win to guarantee themselves a playoff spot in the last match of the season. And it meant absolutely nothing to us other than to spoil their
chances.
Spoil their playoff hopes. So, yeah, Clint Capela's got... Oh, they're still showing videos there. And so it meant nothing to us other than to knock them out. And we will talk about that actually pretty in depth because there's something that I want to share about that I don't think got enough run that really should have gotten way more run than it did. And then after that, like I said, we'll talk everything else. But let's start with that. So, like I said, first half very different from the second half. It was bad. Gave up a goal actually 2 goals to Ola Kamara.
Yes.
The first one was a good goal. It was a good goal.
It was the corner, right? Or was it?
I think the second one was the corner. The first one was the breakaway.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Cisco or anybody else, but I think the first one was the breakaway. The second one was the corner. Either way, it was a good goal. Both of them really were good goals, but just watching that half. I don't know how many of you were tuned in to like Twitter, not tuned in, but watching Twitter, watching Reddit. I know those of you on the Discord chat definitely were tuned into those channels, those mediums, if you will, and definitely keeping up with what was going on. But man, it was like the first one was the corner. Okay, the halftime whistle blew. It was like everybody was done with the match. That's what it was. Thank you, Blues. And so it was like it reminded me it was very reminiscent of fans that left the LAFC match at home earlier in the season when we were down 2 goals going into the second half. Mm-hmm. And the ones that left right around the end, the whistle for regulation of that game as well, that left. And those that had walked down the stairs, getting ready to walk to the back, completely apoplectic, that home match.
I'm not going to lie. I did not think we were going to tie that game.
I don't think many people in that stadium thought we were going to tie that game. I mean, hell, I didn't think we were going to tie that game.
I'd be worried if you or Cisco did not have that confidence.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, Cisco wouldn't have had that confidence either. Not at that point. Not with 90 minutes already elapsed. There wasn't a fan in that stadium that was going, "Oh, we got this," even before especially before the first goal. Now, once the first goal went in, that's a different story. But before that first goal, no, there was no fan in that stadium going, "Yeah, we gonna do this, boys."
Comeback is real.
Yeah. Cisco makes a good point. Just imagine all those people that had typed up their stories, all the different media coverage guys. I'm sure that every one of them were sitting there, delete, start having to retype the end of those stories.
Yep.
So anyway, so the second half happens in this match, and it was like the 55th minute. Kyoto gets a goal, and it was not a great shot. It was well placed though, but it was not a great shot. Didn't have any power behind it. Just right where it needed to be. And he used the defenders to shield it, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
So that one went in, and we were down a goal. And then it was 20 minutes or so, roughly, give or take. And then Morrow gets a goal on what was absolutely a definite red card. Should have been a definite red card.
Yeah,
somehow
was
somehow Cisco has been pissed off about that, to say the least. AJ took cleats to the chest. Essentially, got full kicked in the chest.
I mean, if we want to go with what I know, it's
look. If precedent says anything, that's a red card.
Yeah, I mean, Tomas for much less was given a red card.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was in the box, so you can't say, oh, well, it wasn't in the box. It was midfield, whatever. It wasn't 2 guys going for a ball. AJ was going, literally just barely jumping up, and Alessandrini went in full cleats showing up, and it wasn't like it was a low attempt. His cleats were literally here, or maybe a little lower, but right here, right in the solar plexus. And believe me, I'm sure Cisco will confirm this, but I am certain AJ was feeling the hell out of that at the end of that match, and probably he's been feeling it for the last couple of days too. But yeah, so no discipline whatsoever, no card. The Dynamo definitely took it to heart. There were some very tough challenges after that. There was one, and I don't know who laid the challenge. Might have been Boney, but just flat out leveled the guy.
The one against Alessandrini?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was Darwin.
That was Darwin. You're right. That was Darwin. And I will be honest, that was Darwin sending a message to Alessandrini, don't F with AJ. And it was fantastic. I literally, I was sitting on the couch watching this match. I jumped off the couch and went, yes, Darwin! And I realized, wait, I'm cheering for Darwin. What is wrong with me? It was fantastic. And, it just reminded me of another thing that I appreciate about Darwin, which is that he's not afraid to be that, and Cisco will appreciate this, and anybody who's followed the team for a while. Enforcer, smaller guy, but doesn't mind going hard into challenges, willing to take a card. Really, honestly, should have been a red card too. I mean, the way he brick wall leveled him. I mean, it was crazy Darwinism. It's fair. So that happened, and then a little while after that, it was in the 82nd or 83rd. No, yeah, 83rd minute, roughly, give or take. Cisco can verify the time on this, but on a turnover, the ball gets to Elise. He taps it past the defender. The defender goes out but doesn't get it. He gets around the defender. He makes the craziest looking stutter dribble step I've ever seen. That one little like hesitation move, it threw every defender on that back line off. And then he proceeded to push a little deeper into the box, then cross it. And Morrow on the most majestically timed run between defenders in front of the goal, and then just slots it home. And I lost my absolute shit in this apartment.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Oh, you guys have no idea.
Yeah, I loved his run because he had those two guys were on him, but they both paid attention more to Elise.
Well, they were paying attention to the ball. That they were watching the ball. They were not watching Morrow.
And so Morrow, when he makes the run, like he makes that stutter, and then he makes like a curved run towards the middle of the 6-yard box and just manages to get to that perfectly placed pass.
So Osmar says AJ had Zlatan in his pocket all match. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. He says, actually, I don't know. I didn't watch the game. But no, you're actually right. He really did. Cisco says Morrow baited the center back so hard. So bad, he held his run until the very last moment and then split them. And if you watch it on replay, even in slow-mo, when I say it's a majestically timed run, I'm not kidding. Like, I have never seen a run at MLS, in MLS level, that is that just picturesque perfect.
I like Kalos' comment. He says, what upsets me most is the stories are all Galaxy implodes, loses to terrible team, not Dynamo outplayed them. We are not a terrible team, they say.
Well, yeah, but let's take it back a notch here, too. You have to remember, you can't say the Dynamo outplayed them necessarily because for a half, the Dynamo were outplayed. For one half, the Dynamo were losing. Really, even for a little more than a half, they were losing. So they were being outplayed up until that point. Now, what it would have been fair, and really, to be honest, the Galaxy were always going to lead the headlines. Look, I'm one of those fans that I am perfectly content with this team from just a personality and from a culture standpoint, being the underdogs and the back against the wall team, and let the press talk about the other teams, let them talk about how Zlatan's going to win this league, and how Wayne Rooney's the second coming of Pele. That's not what they're saying, but it feels like it sometimes. All these big name players that they're that they're the next, not next, but they're taking the league by storm, if you will. And okay, Cisco, if you say so. I still feel like Galaxy had enough chances in the first part of that second half to not call it that way, but okay. But excuse me. My point is, though, while Callow has a point, that the headlines could have been different, I don't mind it. I don't really care because it's national media. Let them talk about what they're going to talk about. Look, I mean, they're going to disrespect the Dynamo because they're from Houston, period. End of story. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. It's just something about this market. Houston teams in this sports market are always undersold and underplayed from a national media standpoint. The Texans, at some point after like 5 years of actually playing decent, finally got some respect, and then they went out and laid a goose egg, and they haven't had respect since then. Although Deshaun Watson gets some respect. That's nice to see. It's I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the underdog, especially with the way this team is built. Because these are players that are coming in with a chip on their shoulder because they're making less than their counterparts on other teams. And that's okay with me because when they play with a chip on their shoulder, they're playing for something no matter what's on the line. And they're always going to give that little bit extra to try to show that guy up. They're always going to go out there and they're going to do everything they can to body Zlatan off a ball because guess what? That jackass is getting all the headlines. So they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that guy is not scoring goals when they play the Dynamo.
Make him look bad.
And they certainly did. And I'm going to say this, and this was a point that didn't get any play whatsoever. After the failed miss, one of the failed misses towards the in stoppage time by the Galaxy. We'll talk about the 9 minutes of stoppage time later, but one of the misses by the Galaxy. Alessandrini goes to ground, and I'm not kidding you. He doesn't just slam the ground. He's laying down. He is literally temper tantruming on the ground. And it was like 15 seconds of him temper tantruming on the ground. It was fantastic. I literally jumped out of my seat and went, "You suck! That's fantastic!" It was great. I lost my shit. Sergio says Willis had some great saves. He did. He had match-saving saves. And I'm not surprised. That's the type of keeper he's been this season. He's had great saves and some not great saves, but he's had mostly great saves. Cisco says, do you feel like Kyoto's goal was a weight off his shoulders with him being in the news lately?
I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
I think at any time when you have that kind of off-the-pitch pressure on you, the best thing to overcome it is bringing in results on the pitch.
Absolutely.
Because it shows that that's not affecting me where it matters right now.
Absolutely. Well, and let's remember when the Galaxy came and played here, he and Zlatan had a little bit of a coming together. And so for him to get the goal and Zlatan not to get a goal, you have to know he enjoyed the hell out of that. And we know Kyoto's personality. You know he enjoyed the hell out of that. Like, that hits just his personality. I'm okay with that. I really, really am. So the Dynamo go on to win the match. The Galaxy were flopping everywhere, much to nobody's surprise. They had chances. Ola had a absolute sitter in front of goal and just whiffed. There were other chances that they had. They just couldn't put away. And whether it was Alessandrini, whether it was Ola, whether it was Zlatan, it didn't matter who it was. They just, in the second half, nothing was going in. It just made me appreciate the effort. We're sitting in the last match of the season where it means nothing to the players on the pitch from the Dynamo standpoint in terms of what it's going to do for their season. And yet they went out there and they gave it 110%. They left everything on the pitch.
I'll tell you this much. They played more like a team that needed the win to make it to the playoffs than the Galaxy.
Absolutely. And the thing is, and this is what I want fans to remember too, and it's important to think about this as we enter into this offseason. These players went down 2 goals in a match that meant nothing to them, and they won. They came back to win on the road, where they had only won one time on the road, just in general, not even in LA, but just on the road in general. They'd only won one match all season on the road. And they came back and they won. And it just speaks to what this team can be and what this team's potential is heading into the offseason. And it's extremely exciting. And Cisco makes a good point as well. This was a Dominic Kinnear coached and led Galaxy team. And we know that Dominic Kinnear, when he gets a goal or 2-goal lead, his tactic is we're going to park the bus. Essentially. Now, they didn't quite park the bus, but it was awful darn close. It was basically a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1, depending on how you look at it for the Galaxy. And yet the Dynamo still broke open that defense twice. And that second goal, AJ was in the box. I mean, that in and of itself says everything. So,
7:18.
Yeah, I'm just looking at where's the clock on here?
It's there.
Where? Oh, right up there. Sorry, well, that's because it's on the bookshelf. I'm supposed to look at the bookshelf? Come on, I'm just kidding. By the way, if anybody's curious, that is Rico's signature on that soccer ball. Just thought I'd share with everybody. God bless Rico. It's the team gave everything for that win. And to do it in a match that didn't matter to them, that was just this proves, this should be that proof match that, hey, this team is actually pretty damn good. This should be that match that says to fans, look, we know we struggled this season, but we also know we are a much better team than what we showed on the pitch during the regular season. This was the team that I felt played like it played in the Open Cup and played in Open Cup matches, which is at any point they were liable to strike repeatedly, quickly, fast on the counter and also off counter just in the run of play. And so take that to heart, guys. When we go into as we go into this offseason and head towards 2019, that's incredible. And that's another storyline, Cisco, that I wanted to touch on. There was nothing being talked about about AJ going back home to his LA Galaxy team that he basically grew up playing with, essentially, and playing against them in the last match of the season where he has a chance to go out there and shut them down and make it so they don't advance or they don't make it to the playoffs. How sweet a victory does that have to be for AJ? How amazing does AJ have to feel after that? Like, I know he's had his struggles this season to get back onto the pitch. He's had his struggles getting over the injury, dealing with trying to get back to full match fitness, dealing with coaching staff and technical staff not wanting to start him or play him a lot of minutes before he, his body was fully ready, etc. So, I mean, I almost wish we had AJ on tonight, really, to be honest with you, because I would love to hear him talk about that match and what it meant to him to do that to the Galaxy. He had to appreciate and feel that, and that took his season out on a high. And then especially after winning Open Cup, even though he wasn't really necessarily a big part of that, but just to be part of Open Cup in general, to have that, to know that something took place this season to show that the team is a quality team regardless. Now, there's one thing that happened, and I want to play this since we've got time. After the match, the Dynamo, or actually reporters, I guess, asked Beasley his thoughts on the match and his thoughts on the end of the season and heading into the next season. And so we're going to play this clip real quick. I want you guys to listen to this.
I've had great things to say about our fans. They stuck with us through thick and thin, through bad and through worse. Obviously through the good times as well, but rain or shine, they're always there. So I just want to say thank you for supporting us all season. We're disappointed just like you are, not to be in the playoffs and to fight for MLS Cup, but these things happen in football. I trust that everybody in the locker room, will do whatever they can next year to make sure that the boys are in the playoffs and fighting for a championship.
Pause that. So, whoa, you turned this a little far up there, brother. Turn it back up a little more. There you go. So, what I take out of this, and this is really important, really, really important to listen to that last statement that he makes. Everything leading up to that statement is referring to this season and about how they won something. To get something out of this season, we feel good about that. We're disappointed. Blah, 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 blah. And then he starts talking about next season. And it changes from us and we
to them,
to they and them and the boys. And I take that, and I know Cisco and some others don't take it this way, but I take that as Beasley basically saying to the fans,
thank you.
I'm chucking deuces, I'm out. And it's not like he's like, I'm out because this season sucked. He's like, hey, I'm out because I'm done. Like, it's just time. And I think he realizes and understands that. And I think he also knows with Lundqvist there and with Remick possibly coming back next season and with AJ on the other side, his opportunities for being that guy on the pitch have dwindled tremendously going into next season. Shut up, Harry. That's okay, Harry. I would have the San Antonio match on, but they didn't make the playoffs, so I guess I can't have them on, can I? I'm talking about the San Antonio FC team, in case you didn't figure that out, because San Antonio sucks. It's true. They do. But I hope if people listen to that clip, they don't just focus on that first part of that clip and then disregard that last statement. And I don't know if you feel the same way, Edson.
I think so too, because think about it. It'd be a lot easier for him to say everything in the us mentality. Mm-hmm. Whereas in that last statement, when he refers to next season, he explicitly uses the them. Mm-hmm. This isn't just coincidence. This has to be perfectly used by DeMarcus Beasley to hint that he's retiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the thing is, though, his retirement, if he does retire, and I'm saying chances, I think I'm putting it now at like 90-10, like 90% chance he retires, 10% chance he comes back in a limited role, shut up, Harry. Hey, at least we got a cup out of our run. Sorry, Harry totally threw my train of thought off.
DeMarcus, CONCACAF.
No, not CONCACAF. It wasn't CONCACAF related.
CCL. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to get there. That's coming up soon. Yeah,
because we were talking about DeMarcus.
You know, I just he's 100% retiring. I mean, that's the way I feel, but I have to give a little bit of a chance he could come back. I mean, it's just now the off season, you know, the end of the season, and players. If Boney sticks around, or if if Boney doesn't stick around and he retires, which seems possible or probable, that's another 150, 200. Actually, I think it's like 250,000. I think for Boney that comes available, or maybe it's 200,000, somewhere right around there that comes available. So that's 500,000, almost 600,000 available for Sal. May not be here next season. You know, it's possible that it's very possible Alvarez is gone at the end, you know, in the off season and moves on to retire finally as well. Yeah, the boys report in January. So we basically have all of November and all of December and really like the first week of January, maybe the second week of January. Osmar's not wrong on that, by the way. But it's a close. There's not quite that many greater than signs.
I prefer the San Antonio fans to the Frisco fans, hands down.
I mean, but that's like saying you prefer pig to beef. I mean, it's, you know, pot calling kettle black. I mean,
San Antonio fans are a lot more decent than Frisco fans.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I know Harry, and that right there is enough to say they're definitely better than Frisco fans. But yeah, I mean, so it's you know. You say that, Cisco, but at the same time, if he's done, if he's already checked out at this point and he's only got 2 months, he may be like, look, I've only got 2 months downtime. That's not enough. He may want to go back and hang out with his family back in Indiana, you know, where he's from, and you know, whatever else. He's spent every season since he was a kid away from his family every season. And he might be at the point where, from a personal standpoint, he may just want to spend that time with his family instead, day in and day out, and, you know, actually have time with his kids and you know, the rest of his family. So I don't know. We'll see. But I tend to err on the side of it's likely he's going to call it quits at the end of the season. All right. So we have Dwayne coming up at 7:30, which is in 5 minutes. So what we're going to do, not yet, but in like 2 minutes, roughly. Wait, what time is it actually on the clock up there? We're going to go to break now, and then he'll call in around 7:30. So we're going to go to break for like 5 minutes, and then when we come back, we'll have Dwayne on, hopefully, if he's able to call in.
All right. We shall be right back in a couple minutes.
We'll talk about that later, Harry, after we have our second guest on, so second half of the second hour.
Times are down, you know I'll be with you. Your times are rough, this time I see it too. All this bullshit drama, I can see right through. Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there. You can take me there. I see you and you see me too. We may be broke, but we see the truth. All this bullshit drama, I can see right through. Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there.
We're back. Yo, we're back.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. So right now we have, just like we promised, and we posted on Twitter.
We have Dwayne from Dwayne's World. Party time. Excellent. I had to get that in there. I've been waiting to use that forever, Dwayne. I just want you to know.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before ever. So I'm glad we got it in.
Ouch. Ouch, dude. Dude. No, I'm just kidding. I've literally, honestly, I've been waiting to use that ever since I saw your name pop up on Twitter years ago. So it's just been like, I've never been able to get you into an interview. So finally.
There it is, everybody.
Yeah, that just shows how lame I am. Thanks. Awesome. So, Dwayne, first of all, how are you? How are things going?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Doing well, actually. Enjoying the fact that finally the season is over, so we can finally move forward. And appreciative of all of our listeners and followers and fans that have engaged this season and remain engaged on Twitter, on YouTube chat, and elsewhere in the Discord chat. But we wanted to have you on because there was some news that broke this week, and hilariously, this is not why we wanted to have you on, but it sure does work out really, really, really well. That Chris Canetti decided he was done with the Dynamo and he wanted to go work for the World Cup 2026 Houston bid. And so, first of all, I want to get your thoughts on that. And nothing is off limits. So, Dwayne, feel free. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been a pretty vocal advocate of change in terms of the leadership at the Houston Dynamo or the Houston Dash for the last at least 3 or 4 years, probably since Owen Coyle came in, about at that time. Just generally speaking, I'm ecstatic that there is a breath of fresh air in Orange Land and Dynamo and Dash Land. I can't wait for the new person to come in. Whether that person be there's no guarantee that it's going to work. Obviously, whoever the new person is that they bring in, it may just expose that the real problem is ownership. Mm-hmm. But at least we'll have someone with potentially new ideas, take a new swing at things, and not just have the decay that's existed in this organization for 5-6 years.
So I take it from that statement that, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I think now is probably as good a time as any, that your major issues when it comes to the front office and it comes to this organization have centered around Chris's leadership and the management style or management way that he's gone about business.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chris has tried, has done his best for the 13 years that he's been here, and obviously the first 4 or 5 of those years were phenomenal. And truthfully, probably the first 8 or so years were phenomenal. It's the last couple years where, it's been evident that things have been wrong, and deactivating your Twitter account, not being as public as you used to be. Mm-hmm. Some of the other issues that I've had, I mean, some of the excuses that they've provided previously, when asked about the academy, FC Dallas had a 10-year head start on Houston, which, the academies all started at the same time in MLS. FC Dallas did not have a 10-year head start. They were just in existence 10 years previously. And so, I mean, little things like that where there's, the Palestinian flag issue at BBVA at those friendlies, they're separate organizations, and Chris can't, do anything about what BBVA does. And then obviously a year or two later, Chris is in charge of BBVA, when they kind of reorganized the organization. And so there was just a lot of things like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. The biggest problem that I think that I had was the lack of vision in terms of an explanation as to, MLS has changed so much in the last, 5 or 6 years. What is our plan? What is the Houston Dynamo plan for, moving forward? What is, how are we going to compete with Atlanta that's, got tens of millions of dollars to spend on designated players? And that's not obviously the financial solution, obviously isn't always the solution, but, there's got to be some mix of the academy. And then I just seen so many of people that I consider my friends, over the years in the organization that are extremely talented, always move on to bigger and better things when they leave the organization. Jonathan Yardley, Jonathan Kaplan, Lester. I mean, those are just the people that I interacted with more in the media department. There was so much turnover in the organization. And like I said, I'm not behind the scenes, so I do not know, what the instructions are from ownership and how much, financial power they have to make whatever changes he wants to make. Or if ownership's tying his hands. I mean, but what this will do is it allow the fans at least to see, to see the owner and his new leadership that he chooses to run this organization moving forward, see what happens. And so I think it's a great thing for Houston fans because we'll figure out, is the problem, truly, was it Chris or was it, or is it ownership? And there's an ownership issue that, maybe they're overextended financially and can't, throw money that you need to do to compete and, or don't want to run the organization, the way it needs to be ran. And it's not just the Dynamo, obviously. I mean, I don't think anyone would say anything other than the Dash has been, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best run, NWSL operation, not close to 10, more closer to 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just generally speaking. And that starts with putting, Brian in charge of the Dash initially, in terms of having a role involved when he retired. I don't know how much involvement he had previously in the women's game, but, it didn't get off on the right foot. And I don't know that it's, been a success that the organization should be proud of the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm hoping that whoever comes in obviously gives that organization a huge breath of fresh air. Change can only be good in some instances when you can only go but up. So.
Well, I'm okay. So first of all, let me preface this by saying I don't actually disagree with anything that you've said, and I know that's going to shock a lot of people because of you and how we interact publicly on Twitter. But usually, by the end of it, we usually actually do see relatively eye to eye on most things. You are one of the few people that, regardless of how heated I may get with you at times, I do trust your opinion on things, and I do tend to. I think it's just our personalities on social media. I think that we just have two different approaches to certain things, and I am an eternal optimist, regardless of how bad things may get. I will always see the potential good in things, and so I just want to preface this by saying that. With that being said, though, like I said, I completely wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. I do think that, and I've said it for the longest time, I really have, and people seem to disregard this fact of what I've said, but I've said Kennedy needed to leave. And I completely agree with you. If there was one person in that organization, excluding ownership, that was negatively impacting the organization, it was Chris. And it's not that he's a bad person. He's a great individual. But his management style, his leadership style, it was taking us in a direction that was not good long term. And I wholeheartedly believe that if we hadn't acquired or hadn't pulled in Matt Jordan and Wilmer when we did, regardless of how people may feel about those two individuals, if we hadn't pulled them in, this would have been a far worse situation than we even find ourselves in now. With that being said, I want to point out one thing, and this is for your benefit as much as it is for anybody else's benefit that may be listening. Chris's position is being removed. The president is no longer president. Now what is going to happen is they're going to have a chief business officer. What that means is instead of having someone who's over all these different, who shares responsibility over the soccer operations, instead it's now going to be Matt Jordan over soccer operations and this business officer over the business side, which is essentially how it's been to some extent, but without the authority to be that final yes before you get to ownership or final no before you get to ownership. So in my opinion, it actually kind of convolutes things a little bit more, because now I feel like you're going to have internal butting of heads consistently between the different divisions of the organization, if you will. But it also means I don't expect to see sweeping changes. I don't expect to see major overhaul done, whether that's to the roster, whether that's to internal staffing, whether that's to the way they conduct business, marketing, advertising, sales, service. I just don't expect to see a lot of change. And I've been told that is probably a realistic expectation. And so I take that thought that what you pointed out may be more the case than we realized, or than I wanted to necessarily believe, which is that ownership is probably just as much of an issue as Chris is. And don't get me wrong, I like Brenner just as much as I liked Chris as a person. I like Brenner as a person, but as an owner, I feel like he holds the organization hostage in a way because he's not willing to go out and change his line of thinking of how this organization should be run. And so unless he finds a business officer that can work within the confines or the constraints that he's going to place on them, I struggle to see how this will improve our path forward.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is a great guy, and every time that I've asked for an interview and had him interviewed, got the opportunity to interview him, I mean, he's always answered my questions truthfully, honestly. I wish him nothing but the best in kind of his future endeavors. I just think it was just time for a little bit of a change, just to see what happens. It may, the grass may not be greener on the other side. There's always the warning that, Chris might have been doing the best job he could possibly do under the circumstances. And then, the next guy's not going to be the fix. But, I think there are subtle changes that you can make to the business side. The most important, I think, and this is, something, I'm not a season ticket holder myself because I've just had media passes primarily and bought tickets to individual games and whatnot. But, the things that I hear from long-term season ticket holders that are lifelong Dynamo fans, been season ticket holders for, every year, they're leaving and they're not signing back up. Not all of them, obviously. There's always people that will, follow the orange no matter what. But, people that I would never have expected to not renew their season tickets. And so, at a minimum, I think just getting a business guy in there that focuses more on customer service than sales staff.
Yes.
And not just have a sales staff that they flip over every 3 years because they hire the, people out of school and they're low cost and then get rid of them after 2 or 3 years, because there's no continuity in the organization from a customer service perspective in terms of who the fans interact with. If you're a season ticket holder, if you're changing your rep every 3 years or every 2 years. And so, I think there's little things that I take issue with, but there's a lot of little things that I take issue with. So I'm hoping that the new person that comes in can fix some of those things at least. And there are a lot of issues I think that the club has to address. And like I said, I look forward to the new ideas and the new approach, and maybe things change.
Absolutely. And I think it's important. I agree with you 100% that there are changes that can be made from a service standpoint, even from a sales standpoint, from a staffing standpoint, those types of things. I think we've even talked about those and addressed those on the show with Jay Adelberg from sales as well. And I think you hit the nail on the head that it's when you have staff cycling out every year or every couple of years or even every 3 years, it's difficult to create a culture and a continuity within the organization. So, and if it's hard to create that continuity, go ahead.
Yeah, I look at it like this, and this is the way I thought about that. If you were to say, what are the Houston Dynamo or the Houston Dash top 5 in MLS or the NWSL? What are they top 5 in? What is their bread and butter? What do they do better than anyone else in the league? And if you can come up with an answer for that, you're better off than I can, because I truthfully, outside of, media relations group, who I think do a phenomenal job,
They do.
I mean, are they better at scouting? Are they better at the academy level? Are they better, and those are the soccer sides. Are they better at customer service level? Are they better with SGs, supporter groups? What are they best in class at? And at least, the first, 8 or 7 years, you could say, well, at least on the soccer field, they were one of the best on the field. Yeah. To a certain extent, but you can't say that anymore. And so now it's, now you look at all of the other things, and it's like, well, you've got the hybrid situation with RGV. Not that they're going to provide an optimal environment for, your academy players to grow into, being full-time Dynamo players. I think the Red Bulls have shown this year that you don't have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on players to win the Supporter Shield and be the best team in the league. I mean, you just have an academy where you actually pay these 16, 17-year-old kids legitimate money coming out. And in 3 or 4 years, they grow into what they've got now, or 2 years when they grow into what they've got now. And so, there are a lot of different ways to compete in this league. I know how much that I think that they've invested in scouting previously. Yes. Hopefully Matt changes that. And I think Wilmer bringing his clubbing connections has been a huge reason why, you've got Monatas and other people that have grown and blossomed. But, at the end of the day, outside of being a feeder club for, Honduras and Jamaica, what would you say, what would you guys say would be that the Dynamo do this better than anyone else?
Okay, so the one thing I will say, and I've actually said this for a while now, that they do well, and this is soccer side, not operations or business side, but the one thing they actually do very well, and I know a lot of people disagree with this, but they actually do a very good job of getting the most out of the money that they spend. The value that they get with the money that they spend is significantly better than most of the league. And the proof is in the pudding in that. If you look at the top 3, Kyoto, Morrow, and Elise, just those 3 players alone, and you look at their output this season, goals and assists, and you compare them with more expensive players, for those top 3, if you compare the ratio of what they're spending versus what they're getting to the top 3 in most other clubs, with the exception of maybe Atlanta, it's not even close. It's really not. But see,
that's the thing that frustrates me the most, because they've had those guys for 2 years, and about March, April of last year, we all knew that these guys were this good, and what they've done since that time period to add to the equation has been, I think, a disappointment. I mean, when you've got Elise in at the value that you've got him in at, you've got Monatas on the value that you got with him. You have to build your team around that. And in the last year and a half, they failed in that. I mean, or at least, Matt's struggled with that. Obviously the Cabezas injury, is a huge negative on this particular season in terms of what could have been, but not having the depth that you need behind him, or having the quality in other positions. I don't know that we're in a good position next year to revamp our defense when we're relying on Flynn-Muir and Lundqvist. I mean, I don't know that they're going to improve us defensively enough.
Well, you're forgetting AJ as well, and you are forgetting
right.
No,
AJ will be a huge help.
Yeah,
obviously.
And it's not just AJ; it's AJ and Cabezas coming back together. That next season will be a huge difference as well. But I agree, they need to approach depth with more fervor to find players that can be decent depth players. But it's incredibly important, and this is not at you, this is more at general fans, to remember there is not a team in MLS, with the exception of the ones that have done academy well, that have depth beyond their first 15 players. And if you're going to tell me that beyond the first 15 players on this team, that the depth of the Dynamo is no worse or no better than anyone else, you're wrong. Because if you look at clubs like TFC, after their first 15 players, they had nothing depth-wise. If you look at Atlanta, after their first 15, 16 players, they had nothing depth-wise. And so even your best clubs, they don't have depth after about 15, 16 players. They have players that can come in and play positions like a Memo Rodriguez, like a Dylan Remick, like a Adolfo Machado, like a Leonardo. They can come in and play positions, but they're not expected to be starter quality. Because in MLS, you have a salary budget you have to work within. And you have restrictions on how much you can pay players beyond your first 18 players, beyond your first 20 players, beyond your first 24 players. You have constraints that you have to abide by. And there is no team, especially teams that spent a lot of money, are teams that struggled with depth beyond their first 15 players. And so while I agree with you, the Dynamo need to approach their depth differently, I disagree wholeheartedly that their depth was any worse than any particular MLS clubs, with the exception of a New York Red Bulls or an SKC that have academy players and have USL players to fulfill those roles. I think that's the Dynamo goal, is to have that type of pipeline and that type of growth in the academy and USL RGV levels. But let's be realistic, that growth and and those types of things, those don't happen in 2 seasons. They don't happen in 3 seasons. They're a 5 to 10 season project. And so this is not at you, Dwayne, but I think it's unfair to judge the RGV pipeline by this first 2 seasons, because there was no way that they were going to have players that were going to be the quality of what they were hoping and expecting after that first season. With that being said, however, I think there are some players that left RGV due to the way that the Dynamo conduct business and handled contracts and handled personnel things and things like that. I'm hoping those change with Chris Canetti gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you that, you get past position 18 on a roster, or 15 or 16 on a roster, and you're getting a whole bunch of just another guy types. But my issue is more the first 15. In terms of, developing quality depth. I mean, and in particular for the Dynamo, I think their biggest problem's been the midfield.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this.
Obviously.
Let me ask you this question, Dwayne. We got rid of Will Bruin. Would you consider him to be a top 15 player on Seattle?
A top 15 player on, he's obviously one of the top 15 players on the team. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Okay, and that's about what I figured, actually. But I mean, that's where I struggle, because he was not going to fit here, so we had to get rid of him. But I do think you're right. I mean,
right.
Without a doubt, we have to find players we have to find players that fit this system.
Messed up things. I mean,
yeah.
They traded Will Bruin at his lowest possible trade value when they had Monatos ready to go. They extended Barnes and they extended Bruin instead of turning the keys over to Morrow, a year or 2 earlier. And we'd be, in year 2 or 3 of Monatos at, 15 plus years ago. Yeah. 15 plus goals a year. I mean, they have made decisions that I think they thought at the time were fan-based decisions. Everyone liked Giles Barnes, everyone liked Will Bruin, or not everyone, but enough people liked Will Bruin. And they thought that they needed to do that instead of turning the keys over to Monatas 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They should have traded Bruin away, a couple years before they ended up doing it, and now they get the lowest amount in return for him, and and those are obviously Matt decisions and things like that. And so, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do with some of the pieces that that he inherited at the time, obviously, and cleaning house, post the Giles Barnes, Will Bruin disaster season, was needed. And so sometimes you take pennies on the dollar, but, in terms of looking at things, I mean, they could have gotten well more than they did when they got rid of Will. I think Seattle was the only team that was interested. And obviously he's a better fit in Seattle with a midfield that can create than he was in Houston with a midfield that truthfully couldn't create anything for him. And so, that's why, that's why he's better in Seattle than he is in Houston.
Yep.
It's not really too much of a surprise, I don't think. I mean, the question is, what is, in terms of midfield, I mean, what if, obviously, I thought they should have gone bigger on Martinez than they did. Obviously, Martinez had a good year this year, but I just don't know that I've ever seen him exhibit the quality of the three attackers that are on the move. I just don't know that we have a possession guy in tight quarters that can slip a pass behind a defense when you've got three runners like Kyoto, Ellis and Monatas running off the ball the way that they run off the ball. I mean, it's screaming for a number 10 that can just, split apart defenses. And, so maybe he grows into that next year a little bit more and takes another step forward. I don't know, when you have those three people in as your first three attackers that you have last year, about March, April, you almost think, I think you should come to the conclusion that you have something very special. And, whether you have to go to the ownership group or Chris or whomever, and go, hey, we have something very special with these three guys. Let's get an elite in them. I know we normally don't spend this much money, but let's do that. And then, and fill in from there. And I think they would have been, one of the best teams in MLS this year if they would have done something like that. But, it's neither here nor there now. It's all about where we go moving forward. And, I don't know that there's a whole lot of roster flexibility in terms of, things that they can do in this offseason. Do what Matt does best in terms of scouting and, finding players that fit the system.
I think that's fair. So we're...
And I don't think Kyoto's going to be back next year, but that's just me.
We will definitely have to disagree on that one. I have good reason to believe he will be back. One thing I want to say before we let you go, because we're bumping up against that 8 o'clock hour, is I want you to consider this, and this is something I've had a conversation with a few people, and this is actually buying into some of what you're talking about, which I think is hilarious, but that's neither here nor there. Matt Jordan has never shown a capability to find big money players. His special team capabilities have always been signing players and finding talent that are the lesser known names that usually come good, not always, but usually come good for very minimal contracts. He's a low risk, high reward GM, and that's what he's always been. And my only concern going into this offseason is he does have some discretionary funds available to spend. Is he capable of signing that one player or those two players that take this team over the top? And so I just wanted to leave you with that, something to think about for the next time we have you on, which probably will be sooner than I think most people think. I would like to get you back on like January, right before the season starts, after everything's kind of settled down and we're getting ready to actually have, or we've already had moves that have taken place, so we can actually break them down and that sort of fun stuff that everybody loves to do.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Dwayne, hey, thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate it, and I really do appreciate your insight and just your perspective and point of view. Even if we don't always agree, I do think that there's value in having different opinions on this show, so we definitely appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to getting you back on again soon, and have a good one, sir.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So that was Dwayne, everybody. And I do agree with him. I mean, that it's fair. Those are fair statements that he's made for the most part. I do think the depth argument is a little bit shallow on me. Expecting that you're going to fill out your starting 11 with, DP quality or even $400,000, $300,000 players across the board. There's not a team in MLS doing that. Don't think it's possible. So, and I want to say this before we go to break, and we're literally going to go to break right after I say this. Where's our clock? Literally right after I say this. And that is, just bear in mind, the more that you spend on your top 5 players, the less you can spend on your bottom 8 players. Or bottom, 8. I'll say 8. So just keep that in mind. So those people that are clamoring for that third high-price DP, just know that's going to limit what we can do with the rest of our money and the rest of our roster. With that said, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we hopefully will have Jay on. I'm waiting for him to shoot us a message and let us know he's coming on. So we'll be back in just a few minutes.
I carried you home, taking all the weight off your shoulders. Now we're long gone, falling into 1 year older. It's funny how our love began when I was sober. Now I stumble in a room where nobody else cares. Now I'm in two minds thinking about you. I'm in two minds thinking whether I'm too kind to give you all of my truth. I'm in
And we're back. Joining us now on the phone is Jay Adelberg, Dynamo sales representative. Senior sales representative, I'm assuming at this point. Jay, are you still
Hello?
there? Can you hear us?
I am here. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So, Jay, what are you up to tonight?
Hi, guys.
What are you up to tonight?
I just got back from out in the Bel Air area where I was with Jane Campbell from the Dash, and she did a surprise a practice appearance for some challenge soccer club teams. There were two
awesome.
girls teams, and they had no idea that she was coming. And she showed up, and it was a fantastic time.
So
and,
did she get a louder pop than you would have as your wrestling character?
She did, most certainly. She is also much more famous and definitely way cooler than I ever was at any given time.
You're not wrong, Jay, and I hate to say that, but it's true.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's pretty much the coolest. So
she's amazing.
It was a good time.
Fantastic. So Dynamo coming off what would arguably be their biggest regular season win, or season of the regular season, in the last match of the season.
That was some piece of work, wasn't it?
It was fantastic, and we talked earlier about how AJ must have enjoyed the hell out of that win as well, up against his former team, so one of those things, but. So they're coming off that. We also had the news that Chris Kennedy has stepped down to take a position as leading the Houston 2026 World Cup bid there. We also had the news today that Eric McHugh from the Dynamo Academy has been signed to a homegrown contract. And so just all sorts of stuff that's taking place this offseason. And I think one of the biggest questions for most of our fans and listeners, and most Dynamo fans in general, and Dash fans, I guess, as well, is this just a sign of things to come? Can we expect a whole lot more activity like this, or is this just trying to get everything in because it's now the off season and just trying to get everything done all at once before they take their vacation and holiday time?
Well, when you say activity like this, I mean some of those things are more positive. At least on the surface than others. Are you talking about in terms of major upheaval kind of things, or what is it?
No.
Anyone?
I'm just talking in terms of as we enter into this off-season period. We know that there's going to be an expansion draft in MLS because we've got an expansion team coming in FC Cincinnati. We know that we're going to have the reentry draft and in those different drafts, and we also know that we have CCL, which means we start in January or February instead of January, or instead of late February, we'll start early February / late January, which means that guys will be reporting in January, which means our timeline for the off season is significantly condensed. And then with the Kennedy news. There's going to be news of eventually they're going to have somebody new that's going to be brought in as the chief business officer to run the business operations side of the organization. Go ahead.
So I would say that you should expect that it's going to go fast and furious for the next few weeks, because you think about it, over the next month, especially, we will learn who is going to replace Chris Kennedy. Mm-hmm. We are going to learn who will be the new head coach of the Houston Dash. Mm. We will learn who is the New Jersey front sponsor of the Houston Dynamo.
Wait. Are you confirming for me? Hold on. You said over the next month. Are you confirming for me that we're going to find out the Dash head coach in the next month?
No, I'm saying that's likely.
Okay.
You're going to find that out.
Okay, I'm not putting you on the spot, but you just helped my cause. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to know. All right, continue.
And we're going to, I'm sure there will be a plethora of moves on the roster for the Dynamo. There will be players coming in and players going out. And so I think that the next month is going to be, if there's a seatbelt nearby, maybe weld it shut. Because, it's going to be a wild ride and a lot of fun.
You need a harness.
Not to get everybody excited, but yeah, you should get excited. Let me ask you this question. With Kennedy leaving, does that change the approach that the sales team takes going into this offseason?
Excited because the sales team is, I think right now has some of the best personnel that it's ever had. We've brought in some newer guys and gals from the outside who had a bit more experience than some of the salespeople we had been bringing in previously. I love that as an idea. That's, to bring in some folks who have done this before and who know the amount of discipline and effort it takes to be good at it. We have some new management going on. So I think that in terms of making sure our guns are all pointed in the same direction, it's an exciting time to be a part of the sales team right now.
Fantastic.
And with the Open Cup, it was a great finish to the season. With the LA win, I think that people are pretty Dynamo positive at the moment right now. It's a good time to be talking to people about season tickets. I think that a lot of people, for either reasons real or imagined, are happy that Chris Kennedy is gone. I don't personally think that that's... I have, as I said on Twitter, a deep, deep respect and feeling of profound gratitude to Chris Kennedy. He has been fantastic to me and my career. I look up to him. I respect him. I like him. I am sad to see him go. He's the only president and leader of the organization that I have known since day one, since I've been at the Dynamo. So change isn't always bad. I think he's going to kill it on the World Cup committee. I hope that whoever they bring in to replace him is charismatic and forward-thinking and progressive and excited to be part of what I think is a great organization. So that's my general feeling on that. But I think from a fan's perspective, he is a convenient scapegoat when things aren't going well. And so while I'm not willing personally to harness that to help my ticket sales, I certainly think that it has, in a lot of fans' minds, put in their head that maybe better days are ahead.
Well, if nothing else, it's opened up the door of opportunity in a lot of different ways, especially within the organization. And just like it would be next man up, I think on the pitch, I think that needs to hold true and ring true within the organization as well, from a business standpoint. And I am very glad to hear that the approach to sales shifted a little bit to a more experienced and approach, hopefully with some individuals that will stick around for the long haul as opposed to up and leaving within 2 to 3 seasons. As you have pointed out before, the sports entertainment landscape and specifically MLS, when it comes to sales and service, it tends to be a 2 to 3 year cycle at most for most positions. And I hope we see that change. I think that, from a fan perspective and just an individual perspective, understanding some of how business works, it's really hard. And I said this related to the club, but it also is true within the organization. It's very difficult to build a culture and very difficult to build continuity when you have changes consistently happening season over season over season. And you're always going to have some change. But I think it's important that you have a core group, just like with the team, a core group that you can build around.
Absolutely.
And so I'm hopeful. I go, and I've said this to you, and I've said this on the air, off the air, and I've said it to everyone I can think of. I'm very positive going into this offseason. I think good times are ahead. I was not anticipating the Kennedy news. That was something that caught me off guard. But at the same time, it didn't surprise me. I think the opportunity for him is very difficult to pass up. It's going to afford him, I think, more time with his family. And there's a set timeline of how long he needs to work with this bid group before he can either pursue other opportunities or move on to full-time, being with his family. And I know that's a big, important thing for him, especially as his daughters, grow up and get older. So with that said, I mean, we are sad to see Kennedy go. I said it when we had Dwayne on, and I've said it before. He's a great person, a great human being who believed in causes and believed in what various organizations within the city were doing. And he did a lot of work to support organizations that were just starting out. He did a lot of work to support people that were just starting out. And he was definitely a community-minded president, whether people realized it or not. And so in that regard, I'm sad to see him go. I'm hopeful that the new chief business officer that they will bring in will bring a as strong, if not stronger, sense of community and commitment to the community. But I'm also hopeful that part of that comes in will be a refreshed look at how to engage that same community, to grow the fan base, to reignite that passion that a lot of people have lost, and at the same time, to use your own phrase, to hopefully squash some of that circle of suck and maybe solidify the circle of awesome.
I'm down with that for sure.
Hey, we're going to do our part. I'm going to tell you that, Jay. We're going to do our part.
Have I ever mentioned to you, I'm not sure if I ever told you this either on the air or off the air, that Chris and I both started at the same, our first sports jobs were at the same minor league baseball team at the same time? Were you aware of that?
Wow, I was not aware of that. Wow, that's breaking news right there.
Yeah, in 1994, he was the clubhouse manager of the New Haven Ravens in New Haven, Connecticut,
Wow.
at the time the Colorado Rockies AA baseball team. I was in between semesters in college working as a hawker at the stadium, like ice cream here, cold soda, like that. And we never met, but we both worked at the team at the same time.
Interesting. Well, that is I guess technically you can say that your career came full circle then, in a way. And still continues to come full circle, of course, but came full circle when you arrived here and got to work with Chris and the team here. So let me ask you this, or actually let me state this. I've heard from a few people that share accounts, share season ticket accounts, that they get called, and by that I mean they're not families, but they're like 2 or 3 individuals that share a season ticket account between them, and they consistently receive phone calls with ticket sales offers, whereas other people are not. The primary account holder does not, and I was wondering.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was wondering if there is any way that they can reach out to you directly and maybe get that resolved, because I'm hearing from a few of them, it's not just you, Cisco, I'm hearing from a few people that it's something that is starting to get on their nerves after about 3 seasons of that nonstop when they have season tickets and they're at every game to get those phone calls.
Well, so there are a number of ways. I'll tell you, there are a number of ways that can occur.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of ways that you can end up on our lists and not be noted as a season ticket holder. So just so you know, if you are indeed a season ticket holder in our system, you are assigned a service rep. And when that account is pulled up on our database, the first thing that any salesperson would see is that account is automatically signed out to that sales rep, and you know right away without even looking at any notes that is a season ticket holder. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you are not the primary person assigned to the season ticket holder, but have bought tickets from us in the past, perhaps independently, you're going to end up in our database, and you're not going to be properly coded as a season ticket holder. If you buy tickets on flash seat, and you are not the primary season ticket holder, you are going to end up on one of our lists. If you buy tickets online and you are not, you are going to end up on one of our lists. If you enter a contest, you're going to end up on one of our lists. So essentially, any of those interactions are going to put you in our database on a list of folks who are eligible leads to be called, and you are not going to be noted as a season ticket holder, okay? If you tell the person who is calling you, the ticket salesperson, that you do share an account with somebody else, that person then should be taking the necessary steps to note that in the account and say, this person shares season tickets with so-and-so, no need for further calls. They can make the phone number change colors so that the next person knows not to, if anyone comes across it, not to call that person, okay? But just know, any actions that you do, any interactions you have with ticketing on any level or contests, entering, are going to put you back on a list to be called.
Okay. And that's, to be fair, that's what I figured. I think
I'm happy to help folks out with that. If people want to email me directly and say, hey, can you just put a note in my account that says that I share season tickets with so-and-so, the information that I need is please give me the name of the person that is the primary account holder. I can also go into that person's account and put notes that say this person shares tickets with this person and this account. I can put it in the non-primary person's account, and I can do my best to make sure that those people don't get called.
Fantastic.
However, they should know if they then go and enter a contest later on, it's going to start the cycle all over again.
You hear that, Cisco? No, and that makes sense, and I figured that. That's why I haven't really made a huge deal about it. But at the same time, I could definitely understand their frustrations that you have all these different systems that don't talk to each other. I think there was some hope that could be something that could be looked into from a long-term standpoint of, hey, how do we make it so that these people that are actually buying season tickets and doing what they really quote unquote should be doing in terms of supporting the club aren't being hounded about regular game tickets here and there. So. I just wanted to bring it up while I had a chance, and yeah, I wanted to put you on the spot a little bit since we had you on. But for sure, I knew you would take care of people, which is why I asked as well. And then that also gets it confirmed on the show that, hey, if you've dealt with that and you want it to, and you can't find a better way to take care of it, reach out to Jay and he'll get you taken care of some way, somehow.
Happy to help, and you'll only have to sit through maybe 3 sales pitches.
Hey, 3 is less than the 10 or 12 that they've endured this season. So that seems like a fairly decent exchange there, to say the least. So Jay, let me ask you one more question, and then actually we're probably going to let you go because we got an interview coming up that we didn't plan on having.
Fun.
We're actually going to have AJ De La Garza on, I guess at 8:30ish, roughly, give or take. So you may want to tune into that.
AJ is such a good guy. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, and I get the opportunity to ask him how he feels after defeating LA Galaxy and knocking him out of the playoffs. I am so excited about just that one line.
And he has as much animosity towards the Galaxy as, say, Will Bruin has towards us.
I think that's fair. But, I do think that's fair. Well, I don't know. After Alessandrini hit him with cleats in the chest, I think he probably does have a little more animosity than you might think.
This is entirely possible. All right, I look forward to seeing what he says.
Absolutely. So let me ask you one more question. Then, like I said, we're going to let you go. So, what opportunities this offseason for fans that maybe they're not in a position to get season tickets or even necessarily a mini plan? What opportunities or sales opportunities do you guys have? Do you have any packages that are available? Anything like that? Now that we're in the off season and people are kind of starting to plan for next season, I guess single game tickets aren't on sale yet, but so people can start thinking about as they move into next season. Have you guys talked about that yet? Do you guys even know at this point?
Well, right. So when we do have full season tickets available currently. Mm-hmm. When the schedule drops in January, at that point we will unleash also the partial season ticket plans. I'm hearing that there is going to be a little variance from last year. I don't know what that variance is, but I think it will be minor at most. And as of right now, the only ticket package that we have for sale is a bundle that is the team assortment of choices between 1 or 2 or 3 of those matches would be the choice. So there's a $39 version and a $55 version, and each one of those comes with the ticket to both games. So for $39, you would get a ticket to Tigres Pumas and the TBD Dynamo game.
That, you have to think for those Liga MX fans out there, that's a pretty good deal just to get to see Tigres, but then also whomever the most likely Central American opponent is for the Dynamo, to get to see them in CCL is a possibility too. That's kind of cool, actually. So that's a good package.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing some rumblings that there will be one more Liga MX match in December, and it will be one of the super big clubs coming to town. It's not confirmed, but if it does get confirmed, it should be a doorbuster.
Oh man, that's hardcore. Excellent. Well, Jay, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it, and we'll definitely get you back on again in a month or two, if not sooner. But you have a good night, sir, and stay orangey.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Always a good time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay. Have a good one.
And let's stop feeding that circle of suck.
Death to the circle of suck.
Death to it. That's right. Death. All right, Jay. Thanks. Have a good one, man. Bye. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We got 5 minutes. We'll call him at 8:30. Actually, we'll call him at 8:28. So we're about to go to break for. Well, not yet. We're gonna spend just a couple minutes. Then we'll go to break, and then that will. Yeah. Anyways. Let's go back to what Jay was talking about and what we talked about with Jay, which is the change in the organization. From an organizational standpoint, and I mentioned this with Dwayne, I don't expect a huge overhaul internally. I think I think Jay pointing out that this season the organization brought in more experienced, older individuals for the sales team to kind of create that core veteran group. I think that signals that they understand that they needed to improve in certain areas, and they're doing what they can. They don't have control over the other areas of the organization, so from a sales point, that's the best that they can do. That's that's a step forward, a definite improvement type thing. So that's fantastic. But I think it's important to remember that along with that, if they're seeing the need for improvement in the sales division, you got to believe that they see the need for improvement in the service division. They see the need for improvement in the marketing and advertising side of things. So hopefully, while I don't expect huge turnover or huge change, I do hope that we see some improvement in those areas, especially in the advertising and marketing and the engagement with the community directly, from a marketing standpoint, from an advertising standpoint. So make sure you kind of keep watching and stay tuned, because it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be pretty awesome, I think, this off season, and I hope everybody's just ready to go. So coming up in just about 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes, I guess, give or take a couple minutes, we're going to have AJ De La Garza on, and we're going to talk about the LA match. We're going to talk about him and drawing that red card. I'm sure I'm sure he's still feeling it. We'll find out for sure. We're excited to have him on. That's going to extend the show by at least 30 minutes. So you guys will get to stick around past 9 o'clock. #MakeIt3. So I hope you guys stick around, because we will definitely talk more Dynamo after we get back. Thanks, guys. Be back in a few. And we're back, and we have none other than AJ De La Garza on the phone with us. AJ, thank you again for joining us live on the telephone. We appreciate you, sir, and appreciate your time and your commitment to the team and to the cause and to being awesome and to being a guy who exemplifies what it means to wear orange, bleed orange, live orange. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So how are your solar plexus feeling today?
Oh, my what? Sorry.
Your solar plexus, where Alessandrini kicked you in the chest.
Yeah. We're good. They're fine. I got a nice bruise on my hip though from.
Oh, it was a little lower than I thought. Okay, well that's good.
Oh yeah, it's a little lower than that.
It looked like it hurt like hell, though. I'll say that. So let me ask you this: going into your going back to LA, going up against your ex club. In the final match of the season with the opportunity to quell their playoff hopes and dreams. As a player, as a former player, and as a very good individual and good guy, how hard is that emotionally to kind of deal with? Do you just kind of compartmentalize and go business? You know, it's business. I got to do what I got to do. Or do you maybe feel like, no, they essentially let me go with the trade. So this is my opportunity to prove, hey, you made a bad mistake.
Yeah. I think it might be a combination of both. I mean, for me as a competitor, just being as professional as I think I am, I go into every game wanting to get 3 points no matter what and who I'm playing, no matter the circumstance. So, it just so happened to be the last game, and and if we won, we got to knock the Galaxy out the playoffs. So, obviously, a well-known team around the world for obvious reasons, and for us, it was a test and a challenge, and thankfully we kind of rose to that, and we see how dangerous we can be if you want to play on certain days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it has to feel a little bit of like vindication for the way that the regular season played out because I've seen it in other sports where teams that they've got quote unquote nothing left to play for. They go in, professionally speaking, they go in and they kind of go through the motions in the final game of the season, whatever sport it may be. And as a fan, I cannot say to you enough how much I appreciate that show of commitment, force, determination, fortitude, use whatever term you want to use there, to come out in that second half and absolutely take it to LA. If you will, a little bit, I'm sure that feels good. But at the same time, it doesn't mean much for you guys other than that emotional and that kind of professional side of it. But to see you guys come out with that attitude in the second half, and really even in the first half to some extent, but to come back, there are a lot of teams that would have just folded after the 2 goals you guys surrendered. You guys came out with more determination, like, oh, hell no, we're not going out like this. And as a fan, I just got to say, I appreciate the hell out of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to go out like that. Obviously, a difficult first half for us, and early in the second half, we came after him, and I remember a corner kick, just seeing a few of their guys with their hands on their knees. So that was before we even scored a goal. So we knew we were getting after them. We knew they were going to break at some point, hopefully. So we just had to keep plugging away, and thankfully our guys up top, did a tremendous job with it.
How much does it help you to have a player like Albert Elise above you in the lineup, knowing he's got that speed to burn defenders and that they have to stay honest with him that high up the pitch sometimes? As a defender, how much does that help you to settle in a little bit, to know that you're not necessarily going to get run at the whole entire match, and to know you've got that outlet in front of you of a guy that's just a world burner?
Yeah, we know what his strengths are, and that's going after players. We also know his weaknesses on the opposite side of the ball, but that's my job to kind of figure that out. And for me as a defender, getting into the attack is, obviously second priority, and it's tough to even get into the attack when you give a ball to Albert Elise, who can just take off. There's no way I'm going to catch him 20 yards behind and overlap. So sometimes you just got to give him the ball, stand back, watch him, and try to organize defensively.
Do you appreciate not having to go against him in matches?
No, because then I got to go against him every day.
That's fair. To divert from soccer for just a minute, is your daughter ready for Halloween?
She is ready, yeah.
Okay.
Supposed to storm tomorrow, so hopefully it holds up.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. Does she have a 100 costume? I'm assuming she's got an amazing costume.
She wants to be Elsa for Halloween. So,
so just like every other girl under 15 years old.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Exactly. She got the dress, the wig. She got something for her birthday. That was a microphone.
Oh, that's awesome. Got it openly as well. That it felt good to just get through that period, and then to get to this period where you got to get back with the team into the starting 11 and show that you're fully back and you're ready to contribute consistently, and you're ready for that next season and that ECL push next year. And so how does the injury? Let me ask this: does the injury at all change your approach to this offseason in terms of your recovery and in terms of your personal workouts and getting fit and ready for the season? Because I know the timeline is a little shorter than usual.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably depending when we start preseason and stuff, but we're going to continue to train here for a couple of weeks, so we're not done yet. But this is the longest off season I've ever had, and it might come at the most crucial time in my career where I can use it to now continue to get stronger and do more gym stuff and get my confidence up even more. Because I came back at a time where the season wasn't over, but the most important games were pretty much done. We were, a long stretch for making the playoffs, and obviously I came back and was on the bench for the Open Cup. I didn't play, but for me it was just about getting games in, getting confident, and now I can use this offseason, like I said, just to continue to get stronger and get better, and hopefully start 2019 off strong.
Absolutely. And
what are you looking forward to the most of next season?
I think just playing, man. Just being out there, obviously, being in important games. That's what I want to be in, and that's what was hard for me last year. Was down the stretch when I felt like I was able to bring something to the team. My number wasn't being called upon. It was hard for me to watch and to just feel like I could have been helping and somehow help the team get in the playoffs. Whether it happened or not. As a competitor, obviously you want to be out there. So I'm just ready to compete and ready to play in big time games. And I think that's when I play my best. Is when games are most important.
For sure. So, what inclination do you have at this point of any players? Because there's a few players that are on that kind of cusp of retirement. Have any told you guys? And I'm not asking for names. I'm not asking for you to confirm any of that. But has anybody told you that they're looking at retirement this offseason?
Nah, nobody. Ethan has never said that.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear on this side.
No one.
Good.
No, he's never said that, and obviously I joke with him every day that he can't go out like he did this year and not make the playoffs. So I always tell him you got to come back and let's go for CCL.
Well, when you guys see him in practice, make sure you tell him the fans feel the exact same way. He needs to come back, and he needs to prove it in CCL that he's not done yet, and we will definitely support that for sure. So how much does veteran presence in like a competition like CCL, how much does that play into how the team approaches CCL? Do you feel like, as a player, I know that's kind of a weird question, but veteran presence, especially in a competition like that, especially when you're going to places that are significantly more hostile than any in the U.S. And in MLS for that matter. But how does that veteran presence play into that, and how much are I know the team is going to rely on you for some of that next season, because you will be back. I don't know if the team's told you yet, but I'm telling you now, you'll be back. But as one of those veterans, and you absolutely are along that back line and really on the team in general, as one of those kind of veteran leaders on the pitch, off the pitch in general, how important is that for you to get those CCL minutes?
Who might be a little naive and it might not get to them as well. So, and we have those guys from South America, who've played there and been in those countries, played in those countries, grew up in those countries, wherever. So I think it's going to be good for us, and I think we use this last game as a test to kind of to prove to ourselves we can go into a hostile environment like the Galaxy and a fan base where it was obviously 99% Galaxy fans, and for a team that had to win a game. So to be able to do that, it just showed us and gave us a little bit more confidence going into the offseason.
It's definitely fair. So one final question, and then we'll let you go. How do you feel, as far as some of the younger players, how do you feel that those younger players are progressing and fitting in with the roster? And I think I'm more, when I ask that question, I'm more asking in relation to like Lundqvist and maybe Pena, Ronaldo Pena.
Yeah, obviously those two guys, have it tough. It's tough to go to a different country kind of mid-season and just fit right in, So two obviously very talented younger players, and hopefully have a bright future here and can make more of an impact when they have a full off season, a good test this year. And unfortunately, Ronaldo didn't play too many minutes this year for us, but you can see what he's capable of.
Well, that was our last question, unless Edson Edson doesn't have anything else for you. Hey, AJ, we absolutely, genuinely appreciate you coming on and having been on so many times this season. We look forward to getting the chance to speak with you next season as well, because that's going to happen, even if I have to storm BBVA or the Dynamo front office and be like, look, offer him a contract, damn it. But also... and that's right, actually. So we want to use this opportunity, AJ, to also support Luca Knows Heart. So we want to give you the opportunity for our listeners to go ahead and share how they can support, where they can support, what you guys have available. I don't know if you still have the hats. I picked up one of the hats months ago. But we want to definitely show you the support in that, and let you know that we're here supporting however we can.
Yeah, thank you guys for that. I mean, as of right now, I don't have anything. Thankfully, everything that we've had has gone out of stock. So, hopefully in the near future, something might pop up. But I'll definitely let you guys know the next time we do something.
So when you do come back in 2019 to the Dynamo, can we get an orange-colored hat or something? I don't know, just a thought. Just throwing it out there.
We can try. I don't know how that'll look.
Just a thought. You can let us know if it doesn't, but it'd be cool if it did. That's for sure. I would definitely buy a couple of those.
And I'll definitely share that to the audience for Down in the Valley as well.
For sure.
I know that he was such a big help for us down there.
Oh yeah, definitely. You definitely made an impression down on the younger guys down in RGV. I will let you know that just from talking to Edson and the guys that he knows down there. So just know that you've made that impression, and that's good. And like I said, you're coming back next season, damn it. I'm serious. I'll do everything I can to make it happen. Well, again, AJ, hey, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate everything. And I mentioned it to Bees how much I appreciated him putting everything on the pitch and just giving it his all. every match in and match out, and I feel the same way about you. And I kind of closed that by saying, you're a model of what I hope future Dynamo players aspire to be, and I continue to say the same thing about you, AJ.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
For sure. Have a good one, AJ.
You too.
Bye. Oh, man, talking to AJ is so much fun. You don't leave a conversation with AJ without feeling just uplifted in some way, shape, or form. With that said, we are going to go to break one more time, and then we're going to come back and talk more Dynamo. I say one more time. We'll probably go to like 3 more breaks because we're going into the 9 o'clock hour. So, yeah, get your questions, guys. Go ahead and start posting questions in the YouTube chat now. Edson's going to write some of these down or put them into a notepad document or something so that we can start talking about this stuff because we're going to go 3 hours. Calling it now.
All right.
We'll be back in a few. Hey, Liam.
I sleep alone. I try to find love from a stranger on my phone. My vision blurred, so I forget. Dying to hold you, but you left me here for dead. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. I don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, I didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. Messing with monsters up in my head. Lied to myself lying beside her in my bed. Paint over pictures you left behind. I'd punch the walls if it would make you change your mind. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. And I don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, I didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. Don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. And I don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, I didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. Don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. I do it anyway.
Another breakout, I'm not a breakout artist. I'm a straight up breakdown artist. You're a shut up, sit down artist. Set the back door, man, a shakedown artist. After this, you need a makeup artist. I'm listening, trying to figure where your heart is. I pick apart, trying to figure where the art is. is. Couple minutes, you'll be swimming in the darkness. Couple lyrics from the gang, that'll bang, 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 man, a little brain now. Couple minutes with the gang, spit slang so nang, man, I'm looking at a pack down. Come around with the big man vibe, get a 2-2 slap and a bigger man pat down. It's foreign beggars and a bruck out team, man, I shut down shop in a little man background. I'm a straight up breakout. Worldwide shut down, I'm a breakout. Big moves, big G's, I'm a breakout. More tracks, more racks for the breakout. More food, man, I'm looking like takeout. Now fools like cookies at a steakout. Bare bites for the lash for the breakout. Gang, it's a breakout.
For a name, seen a lot of man lick for the likes. The things people do for the fame, the things people do to remain in view when the games are skewed. This is strange. Me, I peep the whole scene from a distance, watch it unfold frame by frame. Up and steady, up in levels, training heavy with the rebels while they're dealing with the devil. I'm out dealing out the heckles like my skin was made of metal. I've been raising hell out here in the jungle. Pick up my brothers who stumble. That shit ain't nothing. I couldn't break down to rubble. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Break out.
I'm a straight up breakout. Worldwide shut down, I'm a breakout. Big moves, big G's, I'm a breakout. More tracks, more racks for the breakout. More food, man, I'm looking like takeout. Now fools like cookies at a steakout. Bare bites for the lash for the breakout. Gang, it's a breakout.
And we're back, and I need to apologize to Darby. I did not see your message in YouTube chat that you needed me to offer your services to AJ. First of all, is this a family show? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I didn't see you mention anything, so I didn't bring it up with AJ. That was my fault. Second of all, so this is a good question actually for us to dive into. I think in this this period of time, next 15 minutes or so. By the way, keep asking questions, guys. It's important for us to have questions. I've seen one pop in so far. So Liam asked us to talk about expansion draft opinions, off-season stuff like areas we need signings and keep or sell guys, et cetera, transfer rumors, et cetera. So first of all, Liam, listen to last week's show, and the week before that, we talked about some of that. Second of all, let's discuss. Expansion draft. We don't have dates, so we don't really know anything about that. We won't know protected list until like the week or couple weeks before the actual draft. To launch a local Luke in his heart. That's cool. Shut up, Cisco. But yeah, so we just don't know yet anything really related to the expansion draft. We don't know what the rules are going to be. I posted the rules link for the 2017 expansion draft in the Dynamo Discord a couple days, actually I think yesterday. But those are likely to change to some degree. One of the important things means that basically you have to leave 3 international players unprotected. That is likely to be a consistent rule in this one as well. So 3 international players that don't get protected. I think we're probably talking Machado, Senderos, and the third one is hard.
Darwin?
Probably Darwin Saren. Maybe Arturo, because even if he retires, you can still put him in the expansion draft as an unprotected player, and then you don't have to worry about it. So maybe Arturo. Oh, no, Arturo's got a green card, so he can't. Damn it. Has to be Darwin Saren. Oh, that's fine. Whatever. I don't think they're likely to take Darwin Saren anyways. If they do, sweet. Because it means they won't take anyone else. Yeah, so as far as that goes, that's really, I think, our big thing is just that part of the protected list. We went through our 11s last week, and it was hard because there are definitely going to be players that aren't protected that are players we really want to keep. So just bear that in mind. Players that are on MLS contracts with RGV, for instance. Oh, wait. Yeah, he is from Houston. He's a dual citizen, so yeah, he doesn't have a green card. That was dumb. Thank you, Gabe. You're right. I'm wrong. It happens. Okay, no other questions? No, I'm just kidding. So, areas that we need signings. Okay, so keep or sell. Let's do this. Let's go through this. Keep or sell. And we're going to say one, and I want you guys on YouTube chat to chime in and say keep or sell. That's all you got to say in YouTube chat is just keep or sell. And so that way we kind of get a poll of everybody. So here we go. Number one. Let's go with the top three. So Kyoto, keep or sell, YouTube chat, and Edson, while we're waiting for them, keep or sell.
Keep.
Sean, keep or sell, keep. YouTube chat, keep or sell. We'll wait for you guys. While we're waiting for you guys, let's go on to Elise, keep or sell.
Keep.
Keep or sell, keep. Keep or sell, keep. So far, it's a unanimous keep. Callow says sell Kyoto. Callow is a fan of sell high. Buy low, sell high. That makes sense. So Elise, YouTube chat, Elise to you is next. Elise, Albert Elise, keep or sell, keep or sell. Boy, look at all those keeps, man. That's hardcore keep right there. YouTube chat, Mauro Manotas, keep or sell?
Keep.
I said YouTube chat. Are you YouTube chat now?
Well.
All right, go ahead. Talk about your Elise while they're saying keep or sell and Mauro.
So, okay. So basically, there's been some media outlets that got a piece of what he said in post-game conference in the last home match.
Where he said that he would love to go to Europe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so basically, there's already been a couple of media outlets kind of like twisting it, saying like, "Oh, he's not going to be back for next season."
Yeah, no. If he didn't strive for Europe,
I'd be worried.
I'd be more worried. Yeah. So everybody in YouTube chat also says keep on Mauro. So that's, and I agree, keep on Mauro. All three of those. I don't think there's any doubt you keep those guys. Now let's get to the tougher guys. Keep or sell. Well, I say tougher. This one's going to be easy. Keep or sell. Juan David Cabezas. YouTube chat. Keep or sell.
Keep.
Keep. I mean, he was my team MVP last season. Highly keep. Definite for me. So Darby, why do you say mantras? Why do you say sell Manotas? Why do you want to sell Manotas? Is that sell high, keep, sell buy low, sell high? Is that idea? A lot of keeps for JDC as well. That's not surprising either.
Mm-hmm.
So while we wait for, let's go on to the next one. Let's go with Boniat Garcia. Keep or sell?
Keep.
Sell. You're not going to sell him, which means I'm willing to let him go. All right, so YouTube chat, we've got JDC. So Boniat Garcia, keep or sell? Keep or sell? I'm still waiting for Darby to explain why she wants to sell Manotas. I'm intrigued by this one. So it looks like a lot of guys are saying keep on OBG. Of course, Cisco would say keep on OBG. He's high on OBG, man. It's crazy, and I mean high like drug high. It's crazy. All right, so yeah, looks like. Man, Gabe says keep on OBG. He says he's good depth. Man.
Callow would probably want to clone Lundy and have him.
Oh yeah, he wants Lundqvist to play all 11 positions on the pitch simultaneously. Like, you know.
All right.
Make him the Flash. So far, it's been mostly keep for Garcia. Callow says sell him off.
Seller keep Tomas Martinez.
For me, it's a keep.
Keep. YouTube chat?
Seller keep Tomas Martinez. So Darby, in response to the Mauro Manotas question, someone on that front line has got to go. He does less for the front as a teammate. Look at Elise's assists. Look at Kyoto's assists. We can put any decent player in that middle striker spot with that good enough of support on either side.
I disagree.
I have a hard time buying into that for the pure fact that when Peña's been in there, even though it's not been on a lot of minutes, he's not exactly scored goals. I don't think you can just plug anyone in there. I think you have to have the right type of player, and Mauro has proven to be the right type of player.
Yeah, because you need to have some sort of chemistry between your wingers and your striker in order for it to be successful. I mean, just take a look at let's look at RGV. I mean, you bring in Carlos Small, and you saw the difference,
absolute difference it makes, and I think that's exactly spot on. So we have a few keeps for Tomas. We've got one sell from Brian Lockridge. And Callow says keep, but look to sell or look to buy a better 10 in the process. I say keep on Tomas because what he showed this season is a capability to be that pivot guy in the attack that we need. Again, if your defense is holding up better with Cabezas in front of him, you don't need your attack to score 4 or 5 goals in a match. Even though they're capable of doing it, you don't need them to. Sergio says, sell Martinez so Barnes can have number 10 back. Barnes just signed a deal for like $200,000 or $300,000. Or no, his deal with Colorado was for $300,000 for half a season. So I guess we'll see. Cisco says if selling Tomas means getting Barnes, he's all in for that. I think one of the things to keep in mind when it comes to Barnes is he was such a fan favorite player. Fans loved him. There were a lot of fans that didn't like him because of his salary, but as a player and as a person, they loved him. They loved he was one of those engaging players that had a personality, but was also approachable, was a fun player. You know, he enjoyed having fun and he enjoyed joking around with
he had a connection with
players. He enjoyed joking around with fans on social media, you know, in person at games, things like that. So, yeah, I can definitely understand that. All right, so next up, buy or sell. I'm sorry, buy or sell. Keep or sell on DeMarcus Beasley.
Keep.
I'm gonna keep on that one. Buy or sell. God, buy or sell. Keep or sell. YouTube chat. DeMarcus Beasley, DMB. So while we wait for that, Darby says Lockridge is with the Fire today. Cisco says, yeah, but think of the support. Think of the support Barnes had while he was here. It was nothing like the support Kyoto and Elise have enjoyed the past couple of seasons. I think that's fair. I do think that we unfortunately Barnes got the short end of the stick because of the contract he signed. So I see a lot of keep DMBs. I see a couple of sells. Calla says sell because we have Lundy. That's not a surprise to anybody anywhere at all. Osmar says sell Lundy. Oh man, we about to come to blows. Sell Lundqvist. Okay, so Osmar, I want you to tell me why you would sell Lundqvist. Brian says he's unsure if he wants Barnes back. He slowed down a lot, and he says he hasn't watched him play lately. The one thing I noticed about him in Colorado that I think it's important to remember, Barnes has asthma, and you can see the effect of the altitude on his asthma. It was very tough for him to play at altitude because he's not getting enough oxygen in his lungs, and it makes it tough on anybody. Osmar says only Vanter Bates. All right, good mates, good. That's if it wasn't, we were gonna have problems. Calla says sell Osmar to Casey. Damn, dude. So yeah, Brian says keep DMB super sub. I can agree with that. I wouldn't usually, but I think with this offseason, knowing you've got CCL coming up, I think
I'd have him for CCL.
I think he can be a decent rotation player if he's willing to come back at an even reduced price from what he was paid this season. For sure, I agree with that. So let's move to center backs now. Or wait, no. So we need to go. Actually, we need to go back up top. We're gonna go
Andrew Wenger.
Yeah, that was next. Andrew Wenger. Keep or sell on Andrew Wenger.
You go first.
I'm gonna say keep for his utility. I think that's what I want is his utility. So keep or sell Andrew Wenger YouTube chat. While we wait for you guys to respond on that, we're gonna move on to the next one. Keep or sell Memo Rodriguez.
Keep.
That's a keep for me too. I mean, he's basically the cheapest player you're gonna find as a. Look at all those keeps on Wenger, man. Everybody loves Wenger here. So Memo, I think you have to keep because he's a homegrown. So it's incredibly important that we keep Memo for that very reason. Plus, he's a player that fans get behind just instinctively because he's from this area. So yeah,
and you notice it every time, like when he's gonna come out as a substitute, you just hear like the atmosphere just electrify whenever Memo.
Let's put it this way: if we keep him, put him in as a super sub for CCL, and he scores a goal against whatever team it is here in Houston, the place is gonna go nuts. Okay. Liam says keep Wenger because nobody wants him because they've all already had him. That's not true. He's only played for 3 other teams. Get your foot out of your ass.
And then David, sell. I think he meant Wenger.
No, because he says keep on Wenger down below. Oh okay. No, keep Memo. Yeah, sell keep Wenger, keep Memo. Mm-hmm. I can understand some desire to sell Wenger because he's just been a sub. Really, he only started a few matches. He was reasonably effective, but not super effective. So I can understand that, but I do think that you have to remember, again, as we've said before, you're not going to get amazing depth at your wing positions, at your backup positions. So if you have a player that can play multiple positions, that is a quality depth player that can start for you in really just about any position, I think that you have to keep that guy, and I think Andrew Wenger is that guy. And it's not like you're going to find a better guy for what we're paying him. That's the other thing. Shut up, Liam. Wenger will score 8 offers from USL clubs. Get out of here with your trolliness.
I'll have him on RGV.
I'm sure you would, and he would be the second best player on the team behind Carlos Small. Just kidding. He'd be the best player on the team. Okay, so keeper sell. You ready for this one? Keeper sell Arturo Alvarez. Yeah, I'm a piece out on Arturo Alvarez. So YouTube chat, keeper sell Arturo Alvarez. Yeah, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So moving on from Arturo, while we wait for YouTube chat to tell us if they keep or sell Arturo.
Darwin Saran.
No, we're not there yet. We got to finish up with our winger players. So Ronaldo Pena, keep or sell?
Keep.
He's too young to sell him at this point. You got to give him at least a couple more seasons before you are willing to. Arturo, bye-bye. Sell Arturo. Quintanilla for Dynamo. No, not Quinta. He is not ready. Competition-wise, he would just wilt in this competition.
Mm-hmm.
He's not ready mentally, not ready professionally.
Yeah. All I have to say, I mean, I appreciate the guy. He's pretty cool. But when Carlos Small came into the team, like, you just saw him, like, and it doesn't help that he's injured.
Cisco says Arturo, first rocket to the moon. Liam says sell Pena. Liam says sell Pena. Pena's just another Kubo. Bro, get out of here with your hot, crappy takes, dude. I think a lot of those sells, Cisco, are for selling Arturo, not for selling Pena. Pena equals Kubo equals Landine. Not at all. Pena shows the capability to hold up the ball. He shows creativity. He shows.
People are judging him for a
15 minutes on the pitch. I mean, come on, really? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you haven't seen enough of Pena to make an observation like that. You absolutely should not be ready to sell Pena. I promise you, he's going to be way better than Kubo ever was. He's going to be way better than Landine ever was. No, we won't get to Derek because we're starting at the top, working our way down. Fire Alvarez out of a cannon into the sun per Callow. I mean, that would be a waste of finances, but hey, you do you.
But at night, where it's not going to be as hot.
Manotas in his 15 minutes on the pitch that first season looked no better than Pena has looked so far. You probably need to stop having revisionist history, my friend.
I mean, he was sent down to RGV. Manotas.
Yeah, he took time with RGV. Pena has not had that opportunity yet. You got to remember, Mauro has been here for 4 seasons now. And in those first 2 seasons, he was nothing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. There were plenty of talks about selling Mauro because he was nothing. So to tell me, oh, yeah, he only needed 15 minutes to show what he was, sure, this season, he didn't need to start every match. But even with Kubo last season, half the season he disappeared. He wasn't anything on the pitch last season for half the season. And then once Kubo had basically been relegated to the bench permanently, that's when he started to show what he was capable of. Mm-hmm. So I just to revert back to that, I say there's no way you can sell Pena. I think competition's good for both of them. And
Liam, how long did Memo take for him to finally be consolidated as a super sub?
And he spent time with RGV as well, an entire season.
A season and a half.
And again, you haven't given that time to Pena, so to say, oh yeah, let's sell him right now is kind of stupid. You say you can't see him doing much for us, but he's our protection if Mauro does end up going overseas, and that may not happen this coming season, but if that happens in 2020, you don't have a backup. You don't have an alternative plan. And so Pena's your alternative plan. You need to give him a little bit. I think you're going to see a player that can supplant Mauro, as good as Mauro is right now, can supplant Mauro and let Mauro go overseas. What does that white box represent? I don't understand, Darby. You're going to have to explain. Maybe I'm just old school and don't understand. So let's see. Keeper sell. Keeper sell Luis Gil. We really don't have a choice because it's a loan. So, okay, instead of keep or sell on Luis Gil, is it pick up his loan option or send him back to, where did he come from?
I believe he came from Querétaro.
So you say don't pick up his option. So To you, you in the YouTube chat, it's pick up Gil's option or let Gil go back to Liga MX with Querétaro. Gabe's like, sell. We can't sell him, but that's okay. He's not an RSL player, Liam. Cisco says, I'm just thinking about Sean talking shit about Arturo in front of his wife. Okay, look, I didn't realize she was right next to me, but you're absolutely right. I did say he's kind of pointless to have on this team. I hope hope he's gone in the offseason. I didn't know she was right next to me.
Awkward.
Yeah, he said that, and I was like, shit. It's okay, Liam. We know you're a troll. I'm glad you're having fun. I was worried you were being serious there for most of these. Callow indicates Cube is better than Landine. Cube has his own emoji. That's fair. Okay, so Gil, yeah, everybody's like, get rid of him.
Yeah, because I mean, he spent more time down at RGV than with the Dynamo.
Let me ask you this question: you have to keep either Luis Gil or Arturo Alvarez. Who are you keeping out of those two?
Luis Gil.
Okay, that's
because at least he proved himself a little bit useful at RGVFC. I don't think Arturo
exactly, and I think Luis Gil, because of his age, has way more to offer. And he showed that creativity in that one match where he had that one juggle move at the top of the box.
Yeah.
Granted, the shot was useless, but the move itself was phenomenal. Kubo was better than Blandine. I mean, you're not wrong, but that's like, that's a bar I could have rolled over. Let's be honest. All right, keep or sell, Eric Bird.
Keep. Is that even a question for me?
I'm going to say keep as well. I think he showed decently, and I think he's one of those depth players that is way better than his salary and his time at RGV would suggest. So keep or sell, Eric Bird, YouTube chat. Eric Bird, keep or sell, keep or sell. Keep Bird. Look at that, Gabe. Gabe's coming through in the clutch tonight. I'm digging it, Gabe, digging it. You got another keep Bird. You have sold some people on Eric Bird, man. Dude. I'm proud of you guys. Bird blasted.
I do have to say though, so there's this funny thing about Eric Bird. Last time he went down to RGV and they were having shooting practice before the game. One of the shots he took, like it went way past the goal, and it went way past the actual net, and it went and knocked down a tequila bottle at the bar. And I was
damn. And then he went and cleaned it up by drinking it all, right? Okay, so next, keep or sell Darwin Sarin. Now we can get to Sarin. Keep or sell Darwin Sarin. Oh, Darwin Sarin, not Darwin Sarin.
Darwin Sarin.
Yeah, that guy.
Adios.
So you're sell. I'm also sell, but I'm tentative sell. I think it depends what we get back for him or anything if we can get something back. I think that he takes up, because he takes up an international slot, that is a hard... He does take up an international slot, yes. Right? Okay, yeah. That's a hard buy for me to keep. You got a few keeps for Sarin. All right. Liam says keep because Cabezas is injury prone. Okay, you're trolling me hardcore now. Get out of here.
I don't think so, because everybody else is saying keep.
What?
Everybody else is also saying to keep Sarin.
I know. That's what I said.
Okay.
No, I said Liam said keep because Cabezas is injury prone. And that's why I was like, get out of here with that. Add AD to Derek Bird. Callow, that was bad. Liam says, wait, no. Okay. David says we need to keep all the Central Americans. He's not wrong. I mean, it creates a pipeline. Cabezas is actually injury prone. No, until he came to the Dynamo, he wasn't. I think you have to remember he was fine with Theron Enns here, and I think the loss of Theron Enns this season, off-season, the beginning of the off-season last year, or beginning of this past off-season, there we go, was a huge loss, and I said it at the time, it was going to pay, there were going to be consequences to him leaving, and you saw it, just how many players pulled up with various injuries.
Apparently he doesn't count as an international.
Yeah, I think he's got a green card. I think he does, and even still, I probably wouldn't keep him, depending on what we can get back. Liam says sign Luis Garrido, he's healthy. With this lineup, the way that we have it, I would not be opposed to that. Luis Garrido is the type of wrecker that you need in midfield, and having Cabezas to back him up allows Garrido to be that stopgap player. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. Who is better at 100%, JDC or Garrido? JDC. It's not even a question. Are you kidding me?
But it's just that they would complement.
They really would, and it would free Tomas to stay up pitch the entire. It would free Elise and Kyoto to stay up pitch the whole time. You would literally have that pivot guy between the groups.
David says we also need a Mexican on the team.
Yeah, sure. I don't know why that matters, but okay. So what? I need the next player. You're killing me, Smalls.
All right.
Oh wait, keep or sell. Wait, are we still midfielders?
Yeah.
We talked Boney.
Tomas, did we say?
We said Tomas.
There
you still haven't found any new players yet. Come on, Memo.
Back.
We'll get to him in a minute. Yeah, okay. So keep or sell Mac Steves. You keeping Mac or you selling Mac? I'm keeping Mac.
Keep.
Ching for New Canetti. All right, Liam, you're banned from YouTube chat.
Okay. For the next one, Eric Alexander.
Oh, sell. Are you kidding me? I couldn't sell that dude fast enough.
He is 30 as well.
I know. Keep or sell?
Sell.
Okay. Keep or sell, YouTube chat. Eric Alexander, keep or sell. Mac is better than Pena. Oh, man, Liam, you were like, yeah, wow. And I know you're not doing it like you're doing it intentionally, but it just hurts my heart to see you so stupid right now. And I know you're doing it intentionally, but it's still funny. Cisco says keep Mac. I can agree with that. I agree with that. So next season at RGV, you're going to see Mac and Carlos and Luis Enriquez. Chuy
Enriquez.
His first name is not Luis, is it?
No,
it's bad.
It's
Chuy.
Jesus.
Jesus, that's what it is. Alexander, sell him and his glasses. I'll take a bag of chips for him, and I will take $150 for his glasses on sell. That man is a future manager.
As long as he plays on Twitch more.
Sergio says keep Alexander.
Why?
Why would you keep Alexander, Sergio? Who are you? Who are your starting DMs and who are your depth DMs that you're willing to keep Eric Alexander? I'm curious about that actually. Liam says, you know, it's really funny. I told my dad about Canetti super early in the morning, and he said that Ching would take it. Ching's not going to be the chief business officer. Ching's not a business guy, just so you know. All right, so.
All right. Now I guess we're going to the defenders.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so first defender, keep or sell. First defender is going to be Eric McHugh, the new homegrown player.
Sell. Nah.
Sell. We just signed him. Let's sell him for chips and a bag of buckets. Keep or sell, Eric McHugh. YouTube chat. If you say sell, I'm literally kicking you out of YouTube chat. Not literally, but almost literally.
Loan to RGV.
Yeah, absolutely. He may get loaned to RGV, actually. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
I do want to tackle, after we finish this, I do want to tackle a concern that I saw.
Thank you for Striker.
I do want to address a concern that I saw on Twitter regarding that.
We'll get to it after this.
All right, so AJD.
Sergio says he thinks Alexander would be good veteran depth. Okay, I can buy that, but I think you can find better veteran depth for what you're paying Alexander and for what you're getting from Eric.
The problem with Eric Alexander is he relies on having somebody else with him.
Yeah,
that's not something.
And we've talked about that before. I've said that for years, a couple years now, that he has to have that right player next to him.
If you're going to have a veteran presence, you need to rely on what you do yourself and not rely on. You need to have, in this case, Juan David Cabezas beside you in order to bring out your best.
All right, who's next?
All right, Connor Donovan.
Connor Donovan. Are you guys ready for this? I am keep. And I'll explain in a minute when we get to other defenders why I'm keeping Connor, but I'm definitely keep Connor.
Keep.
So YouTube chat, keep or sell Connor Donovan. While we're waiting for that, we'll move on to the next one. AJ De La Garza, keep or sell? Keep. Sell Donovan. We got two sells for. Oh no, one sell. Gabe's the sell. The Callow and Cisco were for Steve's.
Guys, you don't. You don't know how much I hate you all for saying that.
Callow says sell. Sergio says keep. There you go.
Thank you, Sergio.
Keep him in RGV.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm happy to have him in RGV.
So Liam says his dream backline is Lundqvist, Remick, and then Fuenmayor, McHugh, and Ani Baba. Oh, Liam. Cisco says keep. Okay. No, he wasn't. Cisco says keep Connor. David says keep Connor. Liam says Donovan, send him back to the Valley. Yes. Cisco says keep AJ. Calla says keep him off the team. Darby says keep AJ. Gabe says keep AJ. I don't think anybody's going to say sell AJ.
Fuenmayor.
Alejandro Fuenmayor. Fuenmayor is a keep for me as well, for sure. So keep or sell Alejandro Fuenmayor. YouTube chat. It's to you. We'll go.
What's the score rate? Oh, never mind. It's bad.
A lot to a little. Liam says, keep AJ only if he brings his LA friends with him. I don't want his LA friends. Hell no. Did you see those guys on the pitch when they lost? They were babies. I don't want babies on my damn team. Liam says Fuenmayor equals future captain. All right, I'm good with that. Calla says big keep. Sergio says keep. Gabe says keep. Cisco says keep.
This. All right.
Scratch myself? Holy shit, I did.
Alrighty then.
I didn't even know I did that. Ow.
That was probably over the table.
Cisco says Fuen OG champ.
All right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Next one, Kevin Garcia.
Kevin Garcia. Keep or sell Kevin Garcia. Are you guys ready for this? I'm keep on Kevin Garcia. LA thinks their tacos are better than ours. I mean, they do think that, and they're very wrong.
Valley tacos are better than...
Keep or sell Kevin Garcia. I'm not letting you get away with this one.
Keep.
Keep. So you're keeping Kevin and Connor?
Yes.
Gabe says sell Kevin Garcia. Sergio says keep him because he's cheap. Gabe says Sean's on drugs. I'm going to say this, Gabe. Kevin Garcia has been the best backup center back that we have had on this team. Even better than some of our starters this season at center back. At outside back, he's been piss poor, but that's not his preferred position. Cisco says Kevin sell for some churros. Callo says keep. I've liked him liked him lately.
Thank you, Callo.
Callo, I'm glad we drink the same water.
Voice of reason.
David says keep. Cisco says he's 28. He is 28, but I mean, to be fair, we had 3 defenders that were over 28 this season. So 3 center backs that were over 28 this season. And again, keep him as depth. Connor is 26, so you keep Connor at 26 years old, you keep Kevin at 28, and you're still younger than you were last season.
Sergio says, I trust Garcia more than Leo and Machado at this point.
That's exactly, so I was going to get to that. So that's exactly how I feel as well. I think that Machado I think Machado would be better if it wasn't for all his international matches he's been playing. I think he just got worn down and wasn't able to fully recover. And I think also the game is starting to outpace him now. I do think Kevin Garcia is better at tending to keep the game in front of him. And I think Connor Donovan is a good backup and a guy that you can kind of pull back and forth between RGV and Dynamo and not see a big loss there. Kevin is like a 6th-year senior, and he's still better than Leonardo and Machado. Get out of here, Cisco. Liam says he made one mistake. Kevin Garcia, he made one mistake. Or Ani Baba made one mistake. No, bro, he made like 5 or 6 mistakes. You just only remember the one. Because it just happened to be the one that hurt the most.
Adam Lundqvist.
Adam Lundqvist. Keep. Lundqvist, yeah, that's a keep for me as well. I know that's going to be a keep for Callo. So keep YouTube chat, keep Adam or sell Adam? Another reason I'm keeping Connor and Kevin over Machado and Leonardo is Machado takes up an international slot, whereas Kevin and Connor do not. Callo says keep Senderos as a player coach. I can see that. Gabe says keep. David says keep. Sergio says keep. Cisco says keep. So I think we all disagree completely with Dwayne's assessment of Adam. Because he said he hasn't looked all that great and what have you. So I think we all disagree.
Adolfo Machado, keep or sell?
Yeah, Adolfo Machado, keep or sell. That's a sell for me. Yeah, you got to sell him at this point. Again, international slot is killing me.
33 years old.
33 years old.
And like you said, this league is outpacing him.
The league is outpacing him tremendously at this point. I mean, he's still one of the veteran guys. He might be nice to have against the Central American clubs, but at the same time, with his age and his lack of pace, I'm tending towards the sell at this point, and it's a hard sell. I don't want to sell him, but I think it's just necessary. He's got to be eligible for a green card at this point, but it's up to him if he's going to get one. I do think we'll see 2 or 3 Dynamo international players this offseason get green cards in an effort to stick around, but I think that's a tough one. Sergio says sell. I agree with Sergio. David says keep. I can also understand the keep side of it. I can understand both sides. I do, and like I said, it's a tough sell for me. It's not an easy one.
All right, so we're skipping Eric McHugh.
Cal says give Lundqvist a $3 million raise. Get out of here, Cal.
All right, next one, Dylan Remick.
Dylan Remick, keep or sell? Dwayne chimed in. Adam can cross. He can contribute in attack, but 1v1 defending is not great. I don't disagree with that. I don't think he's a great necessarily 1v1 defender, but I think in this system, you're not looking for great 1v1 defenders. You're looking for guys that are capable of covering on defense, not 1v1 defend. So I'm seeing a lot of keep Remick. It makes me actually happy. CCL depth, yeah, I can agree with that. Machado's a hard sell. I agree with Cal on that. Keep. Yeah, I think Remick, he is not injury prone. I think he's just gotten lucky with that concussion he suffered, and I think he's back next season. I think he's a right kind of depth to play behind Lundqvist and just challenge him a little bit at left back if Beasley doesn't come back. Yeah. I think that's also depending on Beasley if he doesn't come back.
Leonardo, sell.
Leonardo, sell. Absolutely sell at this point. Fourth, fifth, sixth best defender on the team at this point. Maybe seventh best at this point.
Cisco says Remick sell. Don't want any lingering issues and risk is too high at this point, I think.
I actually believe that. And I do. Like I said, it all on for me on Remick, it depends if Beasley comes back or not. If Beasley comes back, then I think the sell is an easy sell. If Beasley's not coming back, then that's depth, even with his lingering potential concussion issues, that is going to be hard.
Red Cardo.
He didn't have hardly any red cards this season. What are you talking about?
All right.
So I see, a lot of sells on Leo. I think everybody's kind of over Leonardo at this point. So next.
Philippe Senderos.
Swiss Papa. Philippe Senderos. Keep or sell? For me, it's a keep, and I'm going to keep him as a player coach if possible. If not, then just as a depth backup. Not really intending to have him be.
He's going to be our new Vicente.
I don't intend for him to be. You think about it. He scored goals, very important, impactful goals. So he can be that type of player if he can. Yeah, my fun. If he can stick around for long enough. Swiss Papa is a keep. Keep Cindy. Keep. Yeah, they're all on board with keeping Senderos. I'm digging these guys tonight, man. We are all on the same page for the most part.
Jared Watts.
Sell Senderos. He's made of glass. Only his knees and his hips, okay? His upper body is made of stone. Cindy, sell that damn knee. Agreed. Again, I want to keep him as a player coach where I don't have to rely on him to be the guy, but at the same time, it's hard. Dwayne says Senderos was being sold, but he pulled his hamstring on the way out the door.
Wow.
Oh, man.
May Swiss Papa have mercy on you.
Yeah. Cisco.
All right, Jared Watts.
Jared Watts is a sell for me as well. I think with me keeping Donovan and Garcia, I think Watts is on the way out at that point.
Liam, he already cut his hair. I think he's just trying to. All right. Next, I believe that's all the defenders.
You didn't tell me. Seller, keeper, sell, not Senderos, Watts. So sell Watts.
Because he's also injury prone.
Ignore training. Sell Watts. Okay, we got to sell on Watts. Keep. Sell him to RGV.
Nah, I think we're good with Connor Donovan and Kyle Adams.
Cisco says sell Watts as well.
Ontiveros.
Watts already did cut his hair. Yeah, we already know that. All right, so on to goalkeepers. This is going to be the tough one. I'm gonna name them, and we're gonna do it. You can put that away. I already know who they are. Thanks. You ready? Keep or sell? Michael Nelson.
Keep and have him get more minutes at RGV.
So start at RGV. Keep him and loan him to RGV and have him get minutes there. Okay, I'm good with that. So keep or sell Michael Nelson, guys. I'm a keep. I think Michael is the future goalkeeper of this organization.
You ever notice how Michael Nelson, every time he gets his picture taken, and he always looks at the camera like, I know something that even you don't know, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's always got that look. Yeah. We got a couple of keeps for Nelson. Keep or sell? Chris Seitz.
Sell.
And it hurts me to say that. Actually, you know what? I'm changing my sell on Seitz. I'm going to keep Seitz. You're gonna be intrigued by my what I'm doing here. So keep or sell? Chris Seitz, YouTube chat. So we got a lot of keeps on Michael Nelson. All right. So we've done Nelson and Seitz. Keep or sell? Tyler Derrick.
Oof. Now you got me thinking.
We've got a few keeps on Seitz, few sells on Seitz.
The only reason I might want to keep Chris Seitz is because now that I'm thinking is that Tyler Derrick, I think it's gone to a point where I don't think he's going to come back as good as he was before he had his suspension.
Okay.
And so I think his cycle.
Darby wins the YouTube chat hands down. Keep sights. His wife looks happy and unbattered.
Too soon.
Oh, that was great though. It's been a year.
It's still too soon.
Pretty much. Cisco says keep Tyler Derrick. He's homegrown. Plus he is good. Dwayne says they're keeping Derrick. You don't bring him back with his legal issues to cut him now. I agree with Dwayne, and so I'm a keep on Tyler Derrick. So what did you ultimately come to? I don't think you actually gave an answer. You're still kind of wavering back and forth.
I said it was going to be. I just don't. I think his time at the Dynamo has come to an end.
Okay, that's fair. So your sell. Your sell. Okay, just. It's not. Nobody's going to hold it against you to say, yeah, I'm going to sell Derrick right now. Just say it.
Sell Derrick.
All right, sell Derrick. There you go. Thank you. Finally. Breaking news: new home jersey is really yellow. We'll see about that. It probably is actually. Sell Derrick, pay sites. And Cisco says Dwayne's right, which we already know. So I said keep Derrick, and I said keep sites. Joe Willis, keep or sell. So YouTube chat, keep or sell. Joe Willis. Osmar says send Derrick to San Antonio. Oh man, you might have just incited the fury of Edson over here. So keep or sell, Joe Willis. Keep or sell. I mean, you sold Derrick, so you're keep Joe Willis. A lot of people are saying keep. Here's what I'm going to say, and it's going to surprise a lot of people. Sell Joe Willis. Sell high. I believe Derrick is a competent enough starter. I believe Seitz is a competent enough backup. I believe Nelson is the future of this organization at goalkeeper. That is your trio that you need. Joe Willis is an expendable resource. He is not better than Tyler Derrick athletically. And I think selling Joe Willis when you want to sell high, and you're not going to sell him any higher than you're going to sell him now. And there are teams looking for goalkeepers. And Cisco's right. He also held out last offseason to get a bigger paycheck. So sell him while his value's high and move on, and understand that you may need to look at goalkeepers and be okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right. Actually, there are a few teams that are looking for backup or starting capable goalkeepers. And
Cincy?
FC Cincy is going to be looking for one. You're also going to have I'm blanking right now. I'm sorry. It's not gonna come to me right now. I'm sorry, but when it does, I'll tweet it out. David says Derrick is going to just get in trouble when we really need him again. The difference, I think, now, and the reason I'm okay keeping Derrick at this point, disregarding his past, is because his past, where he's gotten in trouble, with the exception of the one club incident, is related to one individual, and that individual is no longer a part of his life. And I believe that individual drove him to insanity. Not quite insanity, but as close as you can get. I know there are a lot of people that hate keeping a player like that has gone through those types of things and has done stupid things, and they should pay consequences for those things. And I feel like he did his time. It sucks that things happened, but this is a business, and business is business. So that we went through the whole team. One last question. You ready for this one? Wilmer Cabrera, keep or sell?
Keep.
Keep. Sorry, I just had to ask a question. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk. What was the other thing that Liam wanted us to talk about? I don't even remember anymore.
That was just the concern about. Remember that Cisco said that he felt that the top three wasn't going to come back.
Oh, right.
That was just the way he.
Liam says sell. Calla says sell. Everybody else is like keep Wilmer. All right, guys. Feel free to ask questions. When we come back, we'll talk a few more minutes, and then at 10 o'clock we will end it. So you guys have. Oh no, we got what 28 minutes or so, give or take. So yep. Toss us some questions. Yeah, we'll talk about what's coming up in the off season, but toss some questions our ways, guys. Sell Derek. There's a prison team that needs a keeper.
We left this town with the speakers loud and the radio playing old Sublime that we stole online, every verse we know. And we hadn't had a clue if we'd make it by noon or even where we'd go. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere. The tank said E and we all agree that we're just too broke. Fill it back up, so we left your truck on the road with Rome. Then we found a motel with a cigarette smell, so we knew we're close. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. Is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. But don't get left behind on the road. Don't get left behind on the road. Don't get left behind on the road. We play Tupac, Chirac, and we turn our music up when he raps about hope. We hold our thumbs high and hope someone is kind enough to give us all a ride. And we wouldn't have a clue if we'd make it back to or even where we'd go. But we don't need a map, everywhere is home. A Ford stopped on the street, said where you trying to be. We said we don't really care, we'll know it when we're there. We took on down the road, flipped on his radio, Santeria started slow, so we knew that we were close. Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. Don't get left behind on the road. 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 Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road.
I felt like running through the pouring rain. Bad for you, drowning by the fact that I don't need a reason to be bad for you. I'm losing my head when I'm mad for you.
Oh, we're back?
Yes.
You could have given me a heads up we were coming back that quick.
Oh, because I saw you looking, I was like, oh, I guess he's ready.
I was trying to read chat. Sorry, guys.
This is live.
I'm aware. You can talk, too.
How are you doing, guys? All right, so we are in the last 15 minutes of this show. Maybe like, what, 12, 10 minutes?
We've made it 3.
Yeah. So thank you guys for allowing us to make it 3. And let's take a look at what the... Oh, apparently there's a fight going on here. So the next pay-per-view is not going to be Canelo versus...
No, we'll let that go. All right, scroll back down all the way.
All right, so... Still talking about sites.
With McHugh, we've signed more players than Spurs did all summer in the Premier League, so let's keep that in mind. Where's the questions, guys? I asked for questions, and it came into something else. Okay, so let's see. Cisco wants to talk about all the different drafts we have coming up. Scroll back down. Okay, so first draft we have coming up is expansion draft. That will be the first draft. That's going to be FC Cincinnati's expansion draft. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We'll be able to protect essentially 11 players. We'll probably be able to protect 3 less than our total number of international players, how many ever that ends up being, including any signings we make in the offseason beforehand. Houston Dash coach Jay did say that we could expect to have a Dash head coach announced before, basically before the beginning of December in a month. So that will be good. Why are we so confident Kyoto will be back? Okay, Dwayne, so I'm glad you asked that question. Here's why. Number 1, I have reason to believe he wants to be here. Number 2, you can't look at his Instagram feeds or anything like that and believe what you see in the Honduran media. He wants to come back. CCL is a huge opportunity for him to show what he has. And if he can show up well in CCL, if he performs well in CCL, that will catch the international eye. He will get the opportunity to go to Europe. And so I think he's coming back for the entire season or maybe just half a season, but he's at least coming back. Callo says he's the next Dash coach. Callo, you are not the next Dash coach. Oh, and we're supposed to talk about TAM. That's right. So allocation money, TAM specifically. We do have a considerable amount of TAM to spend this offseason. I don't know how much. I don't have an exact figure. I don't think anybody does other than... and I've said it before. I have every reason to believe, based on what I've been told, based on what I've heard from multiple sources, that we are going to have 2 to 3 additional Dynamo signings this offseason related to TAM level players. TAM level players, for your memory, are Cabezas, Kyoto, and who was the third? It wasn't Mara was the third one. So if we can get 3 more players at that level of player, this team will be set. Callan says, you thought internationals hate the Dash now, just wait for his reign. Liam says Kendall Waston wants to leave Vancouver. He's a Costa Rican. He wants him to come to Houston. I don't want Kendall Waston. He created extreme turmoil in Vancouver. Players today were talking about it openly in their press conferences, end-of-season press conferences. And I'm going to be honest with you, if his teammates are willing to say that openly about him, he was an absolute cancer in that locker room. So just keep that in mind. Cisco says, would y'all rather use TAM on an expensive player or spread it around to buy down several players? I'm in the latter. I want to spread it around and buy down several players. I mentioned earlier that I want you guys to keep in mind, and I said this to Dwayne, but it's for you guys just as much as well. Matt Jordan has never proven capable of signing a big name, big expensive player that is talented, that will stick around, or that is good enough to play in MLS. And so I would rather him use that money in a way that I know he's competent and capable of doing, which is to sign younger, cheaper players. This team is going to bring in younger, cheaper players. They're not going to bring in older players. They're going to go the cheaper route, but these are going to be players that have high ceilings. Again, low risk, high reward is what this team wants to go with. That's how they're going to build. So we're going to bring in several players. Dwayne says Kendall Waston was in Houston originally. He came on trial before he signed with Vancouver, and Dom made the decision not to sign him. And I think that's fair to remember as well. And Dom knows defenders. If there's any position on the pitch Dom knows well, it is defenders. What did you have? Oh, you just had something covering that the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay. So RGV. It's unfair to place on Dom specifically. Callow, Tom knows defenders, took the Galaxy job. He did Tom twice. Yeah, Dom does know defenders, but he took the Galaxy job because it was the job that was available and paid decent money, and he took it as an assistant, not as the future coach of that team. He's basically was trying to bide his time until he could find another job, and we'll see what happens from there. What are your thoughts on, and I think I've asked you this already, I think I asked you this last show, but what are your thoughts on Eric Winalda as the Las Vegas coach?
I think this is a disaster waiting to happen.
He already to Vancouver players. He sent a tweet to them, or he retweeted with a comment and didn't at them specifically, but by doing so added them specifically, mentioned them specifically. He said, "Hey, if you guys are not having fun up in Vancouver, you guys can feel free to come down here to Las Vegas, and we'll show you how to do it."
There's one thing I did want to bring up about Eric Winalda, and I made the comments.
He's a tool. Yeah, we brought that up last week.
Yeah, I know, but this is the reason why, and I don't think we brought it up on the show.
We didn't bring it up on the show.
Okay, so Eric Winalda goes on record saying that he wants to implement the system where players will only get paid if they win.
Yeah.
And he says that if they tie, well, obviously they're going to get a lot less money. And if they lose or they don't play at all, they're not going to get paid at all. What the heck is that? Just because it was implemented
you're not going to have any growth from youth. You're absolutely going to squash your youth development. Not only that, you're going to force players to Europe. Not only that, you're going to lessen the quality. Not only that, you're going to encourage cheating. Because if I only get paid if I win, I'm going to do everything in my power to win. Cisco says, we touched on this a bit in Discord, but who are we rooting for in MLS playoffs? Okay, I've got one team that I'm specifically rooting for, and I will explain why I'm rooting for this team in MLS playoffs. I'm rooting for RSL in MLS playoffs. Here's why. Number one, Craig Weibel was a former Dynamo player. He's the GM of RSL. He's the GM of RSL's NWSL club as well. I love what he's doing with the Utah
with Real
Royals.
Monarchs, right, as well.
And he's also GM over the Real Monarchs. I love what he's doing in Salt Lake. I love what he's done with that organization with the blessing of the owner. I love his approach. I love his business mindset. I listened to his interview with Jen, and I don't listen to all of the interviews that people do on Keeper Notes, but I listened to that whole interview because it was very good. He's just amazing. Secondly, they have my favorite coach in MLS, and Mike Petke as their head coach. I want to see Mike Petke win it all. And that's really it. Just those two things. Oh, and then Theron Enns is their trainer now, and I want to see him succeed. I want to see him continue success with them. Would be great. So that's why. And yes, that's why Petke won me over as well, Cisco, because he is not afraid to talk about things that the league is uncomfortable talking about, and he's not afraid doing it in a way that is going to get attention drawn to it, in either positively or negatively. Cisco says, so Callo says RSL. Cisco says Philly is a no for me just because of the disrespect from Justin. Yeah, Justin, I think, turned everybody off of Philly. And I think we all want to see Philly get smashed as quickly as possible so that Philly has to shut up. So that Justin has to shut up. Well, Philly too, but Justin specifically. Sergio says RSL in the West, DC in the East. I can understand DC completely wrong.
So, speaking of the Pink Cows, the Red Bulls, you're talking about a team that almost the majority of their roster were in New York Red Bulls too.
Yep.
That championed in 2016 or 2015. Either one of these years, the New York Red Bulls 2 won the USL Championship, and a lot of these players are now in the first team. So you can see this is the pipeline that a lot of MLS 2 teams want but cannot seem to get. And I think this is a system that the Dynamo is looking up to with RGV, and I'm not sure what you think, but I think they're on the right path.
Cisco says New York Red Bulls 19th payroll, but one supporter shield. That's absolutely correct. They have proven just with that alone that it doesn't take money. It doesn't take extreme amounts of money from a payroll standpoint to be successful on the pitch. And look, for all the flack that the Dynamo get for their regular season performance in MLS, they won Open Cup. So both of your current champion teams right now, excluding MLS Cup because there's not one yet, both of your current champion teams from MLS in the MLS and US competitions, are both two of the lowest spending teams in the league, both of them. So if Red Bulls makes the clean sweep, that would be pretty impressive, actually, and it would completely smack down the entire narrative around you got to spend money to be successful. That's not to say you can't spend money and be successful, but it's to say that that's not the only way to be successful. And anybody who says we need to spend more money to be successful needs to get out of here because you've lost me immediately. Like, I can't give you any attention for that. Oh, and then I thought I'd share this little anecdote. So this week, when I mentioned on the show, and it got retweeted and tweeted out numerous times, my rant about I'm tired of people saying that the Dynamo need to spend money to be successful because it's just, and they're cheap because they don't spend money. I'm tired of that narrative because it's dumb. They can be cheap in other ways, but they're not cheap when it comes to player salaries. Well, they are okay. They're cheap when it comes to player salaries. They're not cheap in bringing players in. That's what I mean. So. I don't know offhand, Cisco. I'm sorry. But thanks for ruining my train of thought. The rant last week, yeah. So the rant got shared on Reddit. It got shared on Twitter. I had a guy that tweeted us directly or DM'd me on Gen Orange and was asking for the he replied to the tweet and he asked us.
How you got to 10 million.
He asked for me for my math, basically, of how I got to 10 million. And while I can't share those numbers publicly, I told him, hey, DM me and I'll give you my math, and it's going to surprise you. And so I gave him the math. And sure enough, I've not heard back from him in a week. So I'm thinking that he got shut down and hard.
Hey, so have you gotten your check already from the Dynamo?
No, I'm still waiting for that check. Apparently, I've been told that they're so cheap they didn't send one. I don't know what's up with that, but
so you know what? Everything's wrong with the Dynamo. Burn this organization to the ground. I've had it. I'm out of here.
They're not sending money, David. I'm done. No, no. I mean, I get it. Look, I get the frustrations, and I've said I completely agree with the frustrations, specifically geared at Kennedy. I think from an organizational standpoint, there are some things that need to be changed. But I think on the whole, there are a lot of good things from a soccer perspective going right. And where I struggle is when people are focusing specifically on the soccer-related things. If you're focusing on business-related stuff, that's totally different. I get it. I totally understand. But when your focus is on we're not spending enough money, you've lost me. You've completely lost me. It is a tired argument. It is a bad narrative. And it is one that makes no sense given the current landscape of MLS. If you don't understand why this team spends money the way they do, that reminds me I need a drink. If you don't understand why this team spends money the way they do, and you've watched this show consistently, or you've read what we've had to say on Twitter or anywhere else, or Reddit for that matter, then you've lost me. It's not that I don't want to listen to what you have to say, but I'm tired of listening to that narrative. It's wrong and it's dumb. That's not to say you're dumb. That's just to say you've bought into a dumb narrative. And so, look, if you want to talk about it, feel free to talk to me. Shoot me a Twitter message. Shoot me a Twitter reply at Sean Ringrose. I have no problem talking to you. Just know if that's your only narrative you're going to send me, just know you're probably not going to get a very long conversation out of it. So Cisco asks, and this will probably be our last question of the night, what from this new CBO would y'all like to see visibility or noticeably changed? That's what I want. She says Jack Daniels commercial in the background. That makes more sense for Darby. Okay. I want more transparency. Number one, it's more fun for us to talk about when we know numbers because now we can start comparing value to value instead of just player to player and have no value metric to compare by. The other thing is by knowing the value of assets publicly, it allows fans to better understand where money is being spent and to come up with more reasons why. It is hard for me to make an argument, even though I can, about why the Dynamo are spending money, even if you don't necessarily see it. But it's made much easier when that information is public.
Yeah, because people are going to accuse you of pulling these numbers
out of my ass. Yeah, and also, if you're in chat right now, first of all, thank you for sticking around for 3 hours. It's incredible. Number two, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with people, especially if you want them to know why they should, take the time to be educated. But seriously, if
you can, donate.
Oh yeah, and if you want to tip us, that's cool. Donate on whatever. It's whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not expecting people to tip us every week. That's crazy. But also keep in mind, we're winding down. Keep in mind that as we head into the off season, we're going to reduce down to probably just once a month for the next couple of months, namely November, December. Probably not January. We'll start picking back up into at least every other week in January until the preseason is done. But for at least the next couple of months, we're going to go to once a month while we prepare to move out of this apartment and into very distant apartments. You're going to have fun with that drive, by the way. And so stay tuned. David says the donate link is not working.
I'll check that out.
I got to talk about Cisco. What Cisco told me about his job. All right, guys. Hey, look, we're going to go ahead and close up a little early. Actually, I guess we're not closing up early. It's right about time. Again, thank you guys for sticking around. We appreciate it. I don't know what it is, Darby, and frankly, I don't subscribe to it either. But and that subscribe to it, I'm referring to Sober October, not subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel, please. I need to clarify that. But yeah, seriously, guys, thanks for sticking around. A huge shout out to Dwayne for hopping in chat and also for giving us jumping into a call with us and talking to us. Appreciate you, Dwayne, and appreciate your point of view. Like I said, we don't always agree, but I definitely appreciate your perspective on things for sure, especially from a guy who's had some internal contact with various people inside the organization. That's definitely always appreciated. A huge shout out to Jay as well for coming on yet again and for joining us. Jay, we always appreciate you coming on. We love your energy. We love your fire, man. It's awesome. And a huge shout out to AJ for coming on the show. Totally unexpected, totally unplanned, the last minute thing, but it's always fantastic to get AJ on, and he was awesome as always. Always is, always will be. And remember, guys, hashtag Luca Knows Heart, hashtag Forever Orange, hashtag Somos Toros, hashtag -TF on, hashtag We Are Gen Orange. Am I missing anything?
No, you're good.
All right, guys, thank you guys, and appreciate you, Cisco, for getting AJ for sure. And thank you, Darby, for subscribing to the channel. And thank you for being our first like today. You're awesome. And remember, go see Darby at the Renfest. I think that's still going on, right, Darby? Great, I just delayed us for another 2 minutes. Didn't even think about that.
No.
That hashtag is never going to trend. Hashtag go see Darby at Renfest. The Renaissance Festival. Make sure you get your tickets to Renaissance Festival. If you haven't been to Renaissance Festival before, first of all, where have you been? Second of all, why not? Third of all, there's some incredible stuff that happens at the Renaissance Festival. Some of those booths are just absolutely incredible. Some of the arts and crafts things that they do, some of the handmade crafts and things are just incredible. And you just can't help but have a good time out there. And the weather is perfect right now. Maybe not necessarily this week, but the weekend should be pretty good for the weekend. Go and have a good time out there, and you will have fun. That's going to happen, Darby. I'm going to come out if you can get Sunday tickets for sure. All right. Well, anyways, we're out, guys. Thank you again. Peace. Thanks for the likes.
Take care.